It is 5 o'clock, and we will call our meeting of October 3rd, 2023 to order. Roll call vote, Sam?
Trustee Anderson?
Here.
Trustee Crane?
Here.
Trustee Weigand?
Here.
Trustee Pearson?
Here.
Trustee Murphy?
Here.
Trustee Ursulou?
Here.
Trustee Bartow?
Here.
Dr. Smith?
Here.
Okay. And next, we have the adoption of the agenda. Do I have a motion? Trustee Ursulou?
Can I ask that we pull item 18B4 and move it to discussion action?
Yes. Do we have, we have a motion?
Second.
Okay. Moved by Trustee Ursulou, seconded by Trustee Weigand to adopt the agenda and move 18B4 to discussion action, please. Roll call vote?
Trustee Anderson?
Yes?
Trustee Crane?
Yes.
Trustee Weigand?
Yes.
Trustee Pearson?
Yes.
Trustee Murphy?
No.
Trustee Ursulou?
Yes.
Trustee Bartow?
Yes. And do we have any community input items for closed session? No. All right. Next up for our closed session items, we have 4A, conference with labor negotiator, 4B, public employee discipline, dismissal, release, employment, 4C, public employee discipline, dismissal, release, and employment for number 202310HR. And we will return to open session at 6 p.m. It is now 5:02. We are calling the meeting of October 3rd, 2023 to order at 6:02. In closed session, the Board of Education took action to approve the employment agreement number 202310HR, and the vote was 7 ayes and 0 noes. And also earlier, we adopted the agenda, and we moved consent item 18B4 to discussion action. It will now be item 21C, and it was moved by Trustee Ursulou and seconded by Trustee Weigand. And we will now have our opening ceremonies led by our student board member, Brianna Garcia.
Place your right hand over your heart. Ready? Begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And next, we have the adoption of the minutes from September 12, 2023. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Moved by Trustee Crane,
Second.
seconded by Trustee Weigand. Roll call vote, Samantha?
Trustee Anderson?
Yes?
Trustee Crane?
Yes.
Trustee Weigand?
Yes.
Trustee Pearson?
Yes.
Trustee Murphy?
Yes.
Trustee Ursulou?
Yes.
Trustee Bartow?
Yes.
Okay. And next, we have introduction of new staff, but he is not new to our district, right? Dr. Sir?
That's correct. Thank you. Good evening, President Anderson, board members, Dr. Smith, cabinet, and esteemed guests. Tonight I have the privilege of introducing Mr. Gabriel Del Real as the new Administrative Director 1 of Elementary Education. Mr. Del Real, if you could please come on up. Mr. Del Real is an exceptional educator who has served in our district for over 23 years, making an indelible impact on our school community. For 10 of those years, he served as a dedicated teacher at Ray Elementary School in Newport Heights, including serving as a teacher on special assignment for technology. His 13 years in school administration have included serving as a principal at both Adams Elementary and Harbor View Elementary, as well as serving as a district-level coordinator of K-12 curriculum and instruction. During his tenure in NMUSD, Mr. Del Real has demonstrated unwavering commitment to those he has worked with and the students he has served. He has also exemplified the values of leadership, dedication, and kind-heartedness. He is known as a devoted educational administrator who leads continuous improvement by creating high expectations in a warm and supportive environment. He has built strong and trusting relationships with our NMUSD employees and is known for his open communication and integrity. He is also skilled in developing systems of collaborative expertise and collective commitment that will assist us in supporting all of our site leaders. We would like to congratulate Mr. Del Real on his new assignment as the Administrative Director 1 of Elementary Education. Congratulations, Mr. Del Real.
Thank you, President Anderson, trustees, Superintendent Smith, and Cabinet. I want to express my gratitude for the opportunity to serve NMUSD in this new role. I've spent more than 23 years as a member of the instructional team here in Newport-Mesa. In each of my roles, working with students in NMUSD, I have recognized the enormous trust that families place in our schools, in our district, and in each of us as individuals. Likewise, I recognize the fact that NMUSD, a district where I've spent more than half of my life, has placed an enormous amount of trust in my hands. Whether as a teacher at Ray or Newport Heights Elementary Schools, a principal at Adams or Harbor View, or now in the role as Administrative Director 1, Elementary Education, the charge for me has remained the same. I serve NMUSD with the responsibility of validating the trust that families place in our schools to help every student in NMUSD realize their full potential. In this new role, I'll have the opportunity to serve NMUSD in a different way, but for the same purpose. As the Admin Director of Elementary Education, I'm looking forward to working in a district-wide role of support for the amazing site leaders that we have at our schools. I'm excited to get to know each of the principals and schools even better to develop a clear picture of our district-wide program. And along with this district-wide lens, I will maintain an understanding that every decision affects individual students and the hopes and dreams their families entrust us with for each of their lives. I'm humbled and honored to have this opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you. We are very excited to have you back at the district. Next, we have our student board member reports. Trustee Crane.
All right, good evening, everyone. Tonight we have Brianna Garcia on the dais representing Newport Harbor High School, Jose Gomez doing a report from Estancia High School, and Valeria Orozco from Back Bay High School. And the topic tonight is, and this is in light of last month being Mental Awareness Month, what support systems does your school implement and spread to help students struggling with their mental health? Also, please share 2 specific campus highlights. And we will begin with Brianna.
Hello and good evening, Superintendent Smith, President Anderson, and esteemed board members. My name is Brianna Garcia, and I'm honored to represent Newport Harbor as their student board member this year. When I received the topic for tonight's meeting, I felt connected and passionate about sharing my thoughts and those of my school as I served as the student wellness representative in ASB my freshman and sophomore year. I began asking members of ASB, along with communicating with our counselors, to get the best answer possible. One important event that helps students who are struggling with mental health at our school is Wellness Week in May, which is Mental Health Awareness Month. During this week, positive affirmations are written into the school announcements, reaching all students on the PA system, and sticky notes with helpful words are posted across the walls of school. Another helpful resource on our campus is the Bridges program, which main goals are to create an inclusive campus, develop leaders, and mediate conflict. The program Bridges works closely with students and staff to create a positive environment on campus. Along with this, our school has implemented a program known as TARS or STARS, where staff are able to write students cards when they want to recognize their good behavior. For example, helping a fellow classmate or picking up trash in the classroom. The student then receives a certificate to a local restaurant, which is handed out by ASB members during class. Although this may seem like a small gesture, many times while I was personally handing out TARS or STARS, I've heard people say things like, "Hey, how can I get one of those?" or "Wait, I want one." This also creates a positive setting at school and can further create a better environment for students' mental health, which leads me to our first campus highlight, known as Wellness Wednesdays. Wellness Wednesdays are hosted once a month during lunch, and last month, students were invited to make rainbow loom bracelets. This event acts as a mental buffer between classes and a student's busy life. For 30 minutes at lunch, students don't have to think about a test they have this week or what homework is due that night because they can simply hang out with their friends and do mind-calming activities such as making bracelets. My second campus highlight just occurred this weekend, where ASB hosted a rally, our student section called the Tar Pit at our home football game, and the homecoming dance. It began on Friday during school, where our fall rally highlighted the hard work put in by the fall student athletes, along with performances from pep squad, dance, and drumline. Later that night was our homecoming football game, which we won, and students were able to cheer on their former peers on the football team and dance and sing along to music. Lastly, on Saturday was our homecoming dance, which had an amazing DJ, laser tag, photo booth, and an ice cream and funnel cake stand. Between the rally game and dance, students were able to connect with one another and have a fun and memorable experience together. Overall, our school helps students struggling with mental health by making sure resources such as our school psychiatrists and district resources such as the Care Solace, social workers, and healthy suggestions and tips when students are anxious are spread around campus through the QR codes and in counseling offices. It is important to maintain and always find a way to improve the mental health of students. Thank you.
All right, we'll go with Jose from Estancia High School.
There's the microphone on this thing.
It picks up.
It's built in.
Oh, it's built in? Wow.
High tech.
That's cool. Anyways, let me see. 2 campus highlights. One would absolutely have to be that our homecoming is actually this Saturday. So for this entire week, we've been able to see all the homecoming proposals. You know, there's been a lot of flowers and signs and, you know, little sweet treats that people have been passing around. Some are really nice and some are not. I'm sure everybody here hates rejection. Anyways, but another campus highlight is, while unorthodox and a bit morbid, I feel is important to talk about. Recently, a student in 11th grade passed away from Estancia High School. I didn't know him personally, but I'm sure he was a good man. And that's not the highlight I wanted to talk about. The highlight is the fact that the campus and the community as a whole came together to support each other. You know, teachers and students cried. You know, people were there for support, and even people who didn't know him, such as myself, we felt sympathy, and we were there for the people that were suffering because they not only lost a student and a classmate, but also a friend. It was very tragic, but it's nice to see that my community is able to handle this stuff with respect and with care, which leads me to my other point on different things that my school has implemented as a resource for mental health. And that is that most teachers have what I like to call an open door policy, where you can just walk in and they can, you know, help you with anything. You know, it could be homework, issue you're having. Really, they're there for anything. And I find that really nice. Even if you just want to come and chat, they're there. And it's really nice and it's really heartwarming, especially for those people who were suffering due to our student passing away. That's all I have to say.
And Valeria Orozco from Back Bay.
Hi, I'm a little nervous. Okay, so at Back Bay High School, the administration and the teachers work hard to create an environment that is safe, loving, and inclusive. Because of our small school size, every staff member knows every student by name and find it easier to know each student and to figure out if a student is having a problem. Our school offers a wellness space where students can go if they are struggling. We also have a school counselor, school psychologist, and therapy sessions on the school campus. The principal he checks in with all the students every quarter to check on grades and mental health. I personally have never felt this safe and supported at any NMUSD school that I have attended. The teachers go above and beyond in every classroom by creating a safe space and motivating us. I'm proud to call myself a Back Bay Bulldog because not only are the adults there for me, but the students on our campus are non-judgmental and supportive of individuality. My hope as a student board representative is to change the perception of how the community perceives Back Bay High School. We are a special campus that allows students to express themselves and grow at their own space.
Good job. Thank you.
Next, we have our Harbor Council PTA report by Katie Gamewell.
You were complimenting your students.
Yes, articulate presentation. I know it's fun to hear from the students. Hi, everyone. Good evening. Superintendent Smith, President Anderson, trustees, cabinet, student representatives, and guests. My name is Kate Gamewell, and I serve as the secretary of Harbor Council PTA. I'm here on behalf of Cynthia, who serves as our president, and she sends her regards. I'm also a parent at Corona Del Mar High School. Just a couple updates that I wanted to share with you is to mark your calendars for our annual PTA Reflections and Gallery, which is going to be Thursday, November 30th from 5:30 to 8 in the district Sanborn Assembly Room. Our theme this year is I Am Hopeful Because, and as you recall from years past, this is a national PTA program, and we participate here locally. Everyone's welcome to attend, and we look forward to seeing all the student submissions. Our membership update, our goal was to have 6,800 PTA members within our Newport-Mesa PTAs. We are currently over 3,500 today, so we're making progress there. We did have two challenges to start the year. One was called Head Honcho, where we challenged our PTAs to have their principal and assistant principals join their PTA by early September. And we did have 7 schools that were able to achieve that. And then our September challenge was to have the entire board join the PTA. Of course, this is also a requirement. But I know we only had 5 schools right now, but I know they're working on that to get all of our board members to be PTA members. And then 2 quick other things. Tomorrow is walk to school day. I'm assuming all of you will be at a school site tomorrow participating in that. But this event celebrates walking to school, encourages family, communities. We do have 16 elementary schools that are participating in that tomorrow. And then lastly, Saturday, November 4th is the Love Our Schools Day. And our PTAs and parents are certainly looking forward to support those district-wide volunteer activities that are going to be happening at the school sites. We have asked our PTA members or leaders, presidents, to connect to those elementary school principals to explore the ideas, because I know those ideas are coming together here in the next couple of weeks. So thank you for your time.
Thank you. Okay. Next, we have our CSEA President, Stu Tedford.
Hello, everyone. President Anderson, trustees, Wes, how you doing, bud? Cabinet and esteemed guests. So tonight I want to talk to you about something that's never happened in our chapter since I've been here 18 years, and that is that we're going to have a contested election in every position. We have a couple of people running against me. We have a couple people running against First and so on down the line. But it's really encouraging to me because what it says is that people are paying attention and they're getting involved. And I think that's very important in the way that we run our chapter and the way that Newport-Mesa views us as a chapter that functions well. So that's a good sign for me. We worked last Friday on our negotiation survey. It took a long time because a lot of the new members on my e-board are wanting to flush out some things that we never really considered before, and I really love the new ideas. I think it's really going to be a fantastic year for everybody. We have a lot of really great ideas, and for the first time, another first is that we're going to have our survey in Spanish. We're working with Javier to get us that translated so that everybody can participate on an equal basis, and eventually we'll try to get the Vietnamese piece going. So one step at a time. The Paraeducator Conference is coming up, so you guys know where I'm going with that. So we're going to want to get some participation out of some of our folks. Every time we send folks, they come back and they share the wealth of knowledge that the Paraeducator Conference provides to them. They don't just hold it in their pocket. It really does benefit everyone in their arena. So I highly recommend we send as many folks as we can. And last but not least, this is probably my favorite part of the whole school year, and I know where you all know where I'm going with this, and that's state of the schools. That's where we get to talk about how committed and dedicated we all are to our kids, and then to celebrate our partners, which we don't normally get to do, which is really great for me. So I'm looking forward to seeing everybody there. I heard I've been given a minute, 60 seconds. Is that? So I'm going to try to stick to that. And if I can't, maybe somebody can help me out with a little timekeeping. So thank you for your time tonight, and have a great evening. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Next up, we have NMFT. Are you going to be speaking, Chris? Yes?
We have no comments for today.
Okay, great. Thank you. All right. Next, we have community input on non-agendized items. Trustee Wagon?
This is an opportunity for the public to address the board regarding items not on the regular meeting agenda. Comments on non-agenda topics are limited to 3 minutes per comment, up to 20 minutes per topic. A speaker may not relinquish his or her time to another person. By order of the Brown Act, Section 54954.2, the board will take no action nor have any discussion on non-agendized items. The superintendent may provide clarification during superintendent's comments.
First, we have India Howerton. Thank you for being our student board member and being here to speak on a night that is not your night. Dedication.
Is there a mic or no?
Yep.
It's built in.
Oh, wow, okay.
Very high tech.
Okay. Good evening, board members, Superintendent Smith, and President Anderson. My name is India Howardson, and I'm a student at Costa Mesa High School. I'm here tonight speaking on behalf of my own personal opinion. I'm here today to advocate for a comprehensive drug education program that equips our students with knowledge about drugs like opioids, such as fentanyl, and even the risks associated with marijuana use on the developing brain. The statistics regarding drug abuse among teenagers are concerning, and it's not limited to just opioids. According to the National Institute on Drug Abuse, a significant percentage of high school students have used drugs or alcohol at some point. While our hope is that students avoid drug use altogether, we also must recognize that some may choose to experiment and arm them with information that could save lives from overdose. To begin, I suggest offering comprehensive drug awareness and risk reduction education in our schools. Such programs do not just inform students about the dangers of substance abuse, but also provide them with the strategies to minimize harm. It's particularly important to educate students about the potential risks of marijuana use on the developing brain, as studies have shown that marijuana could have adverse effects on cognition and mental health in adolescents. I strongly urge that we begin training on the use of Narcan within our schools. Narcan is a life-saving medication that can reverse the effects of overdoses when administered promptly. If Narcan is given to someone who's not having an overdose, there's no negative effect. Providing teachers, staff, and students with the knowledge and tools to administer Narcan can potentially save lives within our community. Let us empower our students to make informed choices and prioritize their health, even in the face of challenging circumstances. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Rosemary Bagara.
Good evening, Superintendent Smith, President Anderson, board members, and guests. My name is Rosemary Binyara, and I am a senior at Costa Mesa High School. I am here to explain the problems of air conditioning at our school. Since the beginning of the school year, air conditioning in several rooms, such as the band room and choir room, for example, have not been working properly. Because of the marching band's rigorous early morning practices, members come back to the room melting from the sun and looking for solace in the room's AC. As of now, the band room has 2 portable air cooling units that need to be turned on and off when entering and exiting the room. This causes extra time and effort that neither the band nor the director, Mr. Batarse, want to exert at 7 in the morning. The district, it seems, has failed to fix the problems of the AC in this room, and it must be fixed soon. As we enter fall, we Southern California residents know that even though the season should be chilly, it does have the occasional 80-degree days. Our hardworking band members should be able to enjoy the cool air of the band room after the 2.5 hours of practicing in the hot sun. While this is just one example of an unpleasant AC experience, there are many others in other classrooms. While some units may work, they may also make loud noises, randomly shut off in the middle of a lesson, or make the classroom feel like Antarctica. It is imperative that our district does a routine checkup on all of our air conditioning units to provide a pleasant and equal classroom experience for everyone. Thank you.
The next person is Rudy, it looks like Crave. It's hard to read the last name.
Cross.
Okay. My name is Rudy Krause. I, like the last speaker, talked about drugs. You guys were the ones who were the enablers of the drug explosion because you went with the DARE program. Kids Take DARE as a dare to do drugs. The bigger concept here is that you guys are enablers. You push out these defective psychologies. You should have just stayed with just saying no. I wrote the DAREgate investigation up to the U.S. Department of Narcotics, and it's a real big deal still. Right now what we're talking about is world at World War III, asymmetrical warfare. This is the trifecta power pyramid. There's only 3 elements. There's the black racist agenda here. There's the homosexual agenda over here. And then there's the 76% enablers. That's you guys. You guys are the enablers. You guys are the useful idiots that are implementing these programs. And you're also the useful or the useless thinkers. You think you're thinking, but your thinking is stinking. You get it wrong. You meet behind closed doors, and everything you do, you debate, and you still come out and get it wrong. That's why you jabbed all the kids and masked them all up when it goes against the science. In the middle, the 4th element is the vaccinated. The vaccinated are public enemy number 1. They're extremely dangerous. I wrote three books on the science of COVID. My first book, Origin of the Species Homo sapien vaccinicus, Human COVID Virus Parasite, Symbiote. You've now progressed to the point of my 3rd book, Vax Transhuman Chimera. You've crossed the species barrier. I wrote the anaerobic science of COVID. This is 30 years ahead of Malone, 30 years ahead of McCullough. I solved COVID at the nano level, myocarditis. The most important word in COVID science is anaerobic. COVID is an anaerobic virus. It lives without oxygen. What they did was they gave COVID a gain of oxygen function. That's how they made it super contagious. that also enabled it to grow into its COVID virus parasite stage. All viruses are parasites, but not all viruses are capable of growing into a parasite because they're stuck in an anaerobic prison. This is the parasite that all the vaccinated shot into themselves from the famous Bidet microscopy. You guys are mutating. Here's a gain of oxygen function is what it was. I'm the first to state it in the world.
Thank you, sir. Your time is up. Next, we have Shane Fenmore.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We really need to get to the topic I want to talk about, but that'll be some other day.
Hello, members of the board. My name is Shane Fenmore. I spoke last board meeting to denounce the actions of Newport-Mesa Uncensored. Today, I would like to continue that denunciation based on events that have happened since my last appearance. As Newport-Mesa Uncensored has resorted to bullying tactics to silence me and those who disagree with their perspectives. Following the last school board meeting on September 14th, Newport-Mesa Uncensored posted a video on Instagram of Superintendent Smith's remarks after the non-agendized items. In this post, Newport-Mesa Uncensored tagged my mom. Why did they do that? Were they trying to shame her? Were they trying to get her to silence me? Why didn't they just reach out to me so we could have a candid discussion? I would have happily engaged in a civil, meaningful debate with them. However, they have chosen to engage in bullying tactics instead. Other examples of their bullying tactics include personal attacks on school board trustees. For example, they constantly go after Trustee Orsoilu not having children in the school district, defaming her position on the board. They berate Trustee Anderson for not having children of her own, implying she doesn't care about children. In my 17 years in this world, I have already learned that bullying has never worked and never will work to create a better environment and resolutions. As children and teenagers, we look to our parents as role models. We learn from them what is right and wrong, how to resolve conflicts, and how to treat others. If parents associated with Newport-Mesa Uncensored are supposed to be the role models of the students of Newport-Mesa Unified School District, how can we expect kids not to be bullies? How can we expect them to develop the proper conflict resolution mechanisms to become better members of society? Thus, I stand here today to commend Newport-Mesa Unified School District for upholding their district policies against bullying, hate-motivated behavior, and harassment, following guidelines particularly BP 5145.9 and 5131.2. I also commend the Newport-Mesa School Board members for being strong role models for our students, displaying integrity, discipline, and acceptance. Whenever you, the school board, have been faced with those who disagree with you, you all have listened intently, maintained a calm demeanor, and continued to institute and uphold school district policies that have benefited all students. And I thank you all for that.
Thank you very much. Next, we have superintendent's comments.
Yeah, to our first student, we totally agree. Working right now with folks at the county level here in the district to figure out what is that comprehensive approach. And we believe it has to involve students in the creation. It's one of the things we talked about today, and I think comments about past programs where adults speak at kids, they don't respond as well, and the data is pretty clear. So we think it's important to bring the experts in the room with students and say, how is this message best going to serve you? And we expect to have something started before the winter break. So we do have programs in place, but to your point, we want to have comprehensive programs throughout the district. We want to work with our local allies, and one of our greatest allies are our students. So look for us to be bringing folks, our student board members and others together and saying, how do we craft a sound message that will be received by our students? So we totally agree, and we hear your advocacy. Air conditioning. This board has spent a lot of money on air conditioning. The 7 folks to my left have really invested in climate-controlled conditions for students, and it's our job to to make sure that those are working. And as it turns out, I know that the individual that oversees that department was writing feverishly as you were speaking, and so heard. I would just say not a lot to correct. People are certainly welcome to their opinions. This is America, and that's what I love about it. You're all welcome. You have your opinions. I would just remind the audience that we don't mandate a COVID vaccine in this district. The state doesn't mandate one. We've said recently there's no indication that the state's even talking about that, so that's good news. So for individuals concerned about that, there's maybe a clarification that brings good news to you. And then the courage of our students. That's, yep, just want to say that.
Next, we have community input on agendized items. Trustee Weigand.
This is an opportunity for the public to address the board regarding items on the regular agenda, meeting agenda. Comments on agenda items are limited to 3 minutes per comment, up to 20 minutes per topic. A speaker may not relinquish his or her time to another person. Speaker cards for items on the discussion action calendar may be held until the item is considered by the board if the speaker prefers.
Okay. First, we have Chris Jones.
Good evening, board members and fellow community members and parents. I did put my name in for 2 things, so am I speaking on both or just one for right now? Oh, you can? Okay. So the one that I think that I'm talking on right now is the use of the...
B3, the library.
The library, perfect.
Yes.
Okay, just want to make sure. So I'm aware that there have been concerns identified regarding using the elementary school and the city of Newport Beach both sharing the same library space, as well as the implications and logistics involved with that. There have been parents who have expressed their concerns regarding books being banned and their desire to maintain free speech. There are also parents who have concerns regarding the content that school-aged children do have access to. I know my kids have come home saying that they've found some interesting and, by their words, inappropriate material. I find myself sitting somewhere in the middle. While we cannot completely shelter our children from every book in the world, and quite frankly, the internet gives them access to more information than a library could possibly hold, I do hope that there can be diligence in preventing adult content from making its way into the children's school section. Kids will find controversial material if they choose to seek it out. My hope is that we don't hand it to them on a silver platter. I think no matter the topic and the varieties of views, we can hopefully find mutual middle ground that allows our children to learn and grow, but especially while they're in elementary school, to maintain their innocence for as long as possible. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Next, we have Bill Dunlap.
Good evening, Superintendent Smith and trustees. Thank you for this opportunity to speak. On this item, which I believe is 18B3, which is the agreement with the City of Newport Beach regarding the access to the library at Mariners and Mariners School. I just want clarification on the protocol. I had a good discussion with Trustee Bartow today. Thank you. Regarding that the patron's request for evaluation of library resources is the document to use for submittal. As you know, we have discovered books there that we don't want to ban. We just believe they're age inappropriate. The ones that we found were in pre-K section. I have filled out these requests, and other members that have been to the library have done so as well. And so what I had heard is that you submit those to the City Library Board, and we will submit them to you as well. These books have been there for a couple of months now, and they really need to be relocated to another section of the library which is age appropriate for their content. The books that we found, that I found, deal with homosexuality and so forth, which needs to be at a higher grade level. It doesn't belong in pre-KK. So I would like to have you comment on that later if you can, regarding that you agree with that protocol and that we will submit both requests for evaluation to both you and the City Library Board. Thank you.
Next is Barbie George.
Good evening, Superintendent and trustees. I'm here to make a comment about the books. There's been a lot of talk about banning books, about trying to take books out. The state of Texas and Louisiana have passed an FCC standard bill which is applied to books. It is on the governor's desk in Tennessee, and it is very simple. FCC standards on profanity, nudity, obscenity are already on the books, so we can implement it into the school books. Back in the 80s and 90s, Tipper Gore successfully lobbied to have parental advisory labels on music. Why can't we have the same standards, which are FCC standards, on books? When we watch television, when we watch movies and television and radio, there's ratings. So why can't we have age-appropriate ratings on the books? It's very simple. So basically, if you can't say it on the radio and you can't show it on television, it shouldn't be in the hands of children and in the classroom unless it's age-appropriate. How many of us have watched a program that says TVMA? How many have watched a program that says TVY? It's very simple. You don't have to make it a war. It's already on the books, and if we could just all come to the table and speak things into action in a positive cognitive way, we could all do what's best for our children. Thank you very much for your time. Have a good day.
We have 20 speakers, and as per policy, we discuss if we would like to give people 1 minute or 2 minutes, 2 minutes of time.
We have 20, you said?
Yes.
20 on 4B?
Yes.
I'd say 1 minute.
Oh,
Yes,
that's right.
but it's just overall.
Are they all on the same topic?
Yeah, this is one topic, so we have.
They're on B4?
Do 1.5?
Yeah, do we want to do?
I think,
a minute and a half?
We have 20 minutes.
Within 20 minutes.
I would say 1 minute too. It's 20 minutes per topic. 1 minute each.
Yeah, okay. So 1 minute?
We'll stick to the 20 minutes.
All right, we are going to stick to our policy and do 1 minute. If you would like to, when I call your name, if you would like to go when the item comes up, which we moved it to 21C. So if you would like to, you can do it then, or you can do it now. So just let me know. Our first person is Dr. Kelly Brown. Okay. Next is Ruth Hargis.
Good evening, board members. It's come to my attention that the Newport Harbor Republican women are urging their members to vote no on the community schools. They're saying that community schools are more big government promoting socialism. I wonder if they've read about what the community school is going to be, and it's a community school is a school that is organized around the whole child, whole community approach to learning. Community schools leverage the resources and voices of the whole community, students, families, educators, and community partners to build relationship-centered, supportive, and equitable school communities where learning is culturally rooted, inclusive, rigorous, and relevant. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Deborah Klein. Would you like to go now, or would you like to wait?
I don't know where the microphone is. Is it?
It picks it up.
Okay, great. Good evening, Superintendent Smith, President Anderson, trustees. I wrote a few of you and then I ran out of time, so I'm going to kind of read off my email to a few of you. So I am here to request that you vote no on the community school agreement that is being voted on tonight. In my opinion, it's a slippery slope that is invading our school system here in Newport-Mesa. We have already seen kids being secretly transitioned behind their parents' backs. Imagine with a community school that has a health and physician's office, these same kids being given dangerous puberty blockers or worse behind their backs, behind parents' backs. These drugs cause cancer, have many other horrendous side effects, not to mention the high rates of suicide for kids and young adults who realize that they made a rash decision at too young of an age and want to detransition. As a mother, grandmother, grandfather, I'm sure you wouldn't want this to happen to your children, so I would implore you to protect other mothers and grandmothers and their children. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Lee Ann Caraday, it looks like. Would you like to go now or wait?
Close.
You may go one time on one item. Thank you.
Yes, I'm Leanne Canaday, and I live in Newport Beach, and I'm here to ask you to vote no on the community, the opposite of what she was asking you to vote yes on, because I believe, like Ms. Klein, that the schools are headed in the wrong direction, especially where it comes to things like socialism. In our world, socialism has never worked. It didn't work for Stalin, it didn't work for Lenin, it didn't work for Mao, it didn't work for Castro, it didn't work for the Perones, it didn't work for Venezuela. I mean, it just doesn't work, and I don't think it should be taught like it's something good because it's something not good. Thank you.
Next is Leslie Salvador Oliveira. Would you like to go now or wait?
Hi, greetings. My name is Leslie. I'm here. I'm a student at the District Newport-Mesa Unified School District. As a student, I could tell you firsthand how important it is to me to feel supported, not just academically, but also emotionally and socially. That's exactly what community schools aim to do. I would like to request the Board of Trustees to conduct the need of assessments involving students to better understand our specific challenges and needs, partner with local organizations to offer services like mental health support or things like that, and academic tutoring right at our schools, include student voices in the decision-making process to ensure the model truly serves the needs of the entire student body, and adopting the community.
Thank you. Sorry, we only have a moment. Okay. Next is Shannon McDougall.
Sharon McDougall. Yeah.
I will say people's names clearly
It's
if they write
okay.
them clearly.
No, I wrote it clearly. It's very clearly read. Anyway.
It's not.
Hello, members of the board. Thank you for allowing me to speak. I heard word yesterday that you would be voting upon the CSLX contract today, and it concerned me, so that's why I'm here. I got to thinking, why do we need to focus on so much of this diversity, equity, inclusion, and things that don't relate to real academics right now, when our schools are failing and we know it? we know our test scores are down mathematically and in English. So I got to thinking about all the great people in this world that accomplish great things before this era. And we have Benjamin Franklin, we have Albert Einstein, Tiger Woods, you name it. We've got a lot of very successful people, and they rose to their success because they had God-given talents, they had drive, and they worked hard, and they didn't have someone telling them that they were a victim and they needed help. And unfortunately, I think that this contract is going to promote that thinking.
Thank you.
Please vote no.
Okay, your minute is up. Thank you. Chris Jones is next. That's fine. Next, we have Luz Hernandez.
Good evening. My name is Luz Hernandez, and I'm a student at Newport Harbor High School within the Newport-Mesa Unified School District. And as someone directly impacted by community school models in our district, the decisions here made, I can't stress it enough how community school could positively affect not just my academic performance as well as other students, but our overall well-being. I urge the Board of Trustees to allocate necessary fundings and resources to transitions into our community school under model particulars in schools with the most urgent needs. Also creating partnership with local agencies and organizations to offer programs to focus on our health, mentorship, and family supporting rights within our school's permissions. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, next we have Max Yukaropina. Very clearly written, thank you.
I'm Max Yukaropina. I am a product of Newport-Mesa School District. Go Sea Kings. I'm also a resident of Costa Mesa, and God willing, my kids will go to Newport-Mesa School District as well. Thank you for having me speak. I've been helping run and build startups for most of my career. And startups are great because they see problems in the world and they try and fix them with creative solutions. But the problem is that most startups fail. And the taxpayers and the parents are not venture capitalists, and our students are not beta testers. This community schools initiative is a startup that we cannot place upon our students. So our schools need to focus on what comes first, and that's schooling, and everything else is a distraction. And we should not be using experiments on our students that distract them from where we're failing right now, which is educating them. So thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Okay, next is Nancy Gilbertson.
Good evening. Hi there. My name is Nancy Gilbertson, and I address Superintendent Smith, the president, and the trustees. I'm here to ask you to vote against the CSLX Community School Program. I did go online to see what the program is promoting, and it appears to be very fuzzy in their goals. The wording was very, very broad terms, and they were glittering generalities. It's very interesting that I could find no opposition to the community school programs on the internet when I typed in that question, because I was trying to see both sides. When schools stick to their primary purpose to educate in specific subjects, they do quite well. Parents and grandparents want children to be able to read, write well, complete math problems, and understand the history of our country. Please vote no on the CSLX community curriculum. Newport-Mesa doesn't need another government program, and we don't need to teach socialism. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Carmen Ramirez. Carmen Ramirez is next. Okay. Following that is Diane Wells. Would you like to go now or wait? Go now.
Good evening, trustees. Good evening, superintendent. This evening, I'm urging the trustees to vote no to the service agreement with the Community Schools Learning Exchange. The CSLX aims to transform the traditional definition of our public schools and overhaul our school campuses into neighborhood centers to meet the needs of students. It sounds good. California is investing $4 billion into these community schools over the next 7 years. The concept of community schools seems like a good idea. I believe, though, it's rooted in Marxist socialist theory with the ultimate goal of degrading parental rights and expanding big government. I don't see academic achievement for our students as a priority. Also, what's missing in this transformation? The parent. Community schools do not prioritize a partnership with the parent. Where is the parent in this conversation? Why don't we expand school site council programs to engage more of our parents? The community school socialist model goes against our school district's vision, mission, and belief that supports individual success and student achievement, and where the school district works with the Newport Beach and Costa Mesa communities to graduate confident students.
Excuse me, your time is up. You're taking time from other people. Please sit down. Thank you for your comment.
Thank you.
Hey, everyone. I'm here tonight to vote yes on the community schools. Being a former teacher, anything that will help to promote these schools, especially Title I schools. Title I schools are there to address low-income needs students. And I find it very ironic that we have a whole bunch of people from Newport Beach here that have no concept of what the low-income schools and their parents and the students are trying to accomplish. The two students that spoke did an excellent job in favor. That's who we should be listening to. And when I hear the word socialist, I ask myself, socialist. How many of you have a friend or a relative who is on Social Security? Oh, that's a socialist program. How many of you have a friend or a relative that has to have Medicare? Another socialist program. This whole indoctrination business, I have no idea what you're even referring to, and I don't think you do either, people that are complaining about this, because these kids need every chance they can get, and the more well-rounded a child is, the better their academics will be. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Francine Howard. Would you like to go now or wait?
As you stated, my name is Francine Howard, and to my friend who just spoke, who said that there isn't anyone here representing low income, that would be my daughter and her husband and my grandson, and I am opposed to these community programs. You've already brought up in front of you air conditioning. You can't even get that right. There's books in the schools that you can't get that right either. And now a new program. And what happens with families is when a child needs something, the family steps in, not the government. We don't need the government to step in. And I'm speaking on behalf of those people who live in those schools that aren't as economically advantaged. And I'm saying that is disrespectful to think that their families will not step in and help them with dental and health and all those things. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Elaine Carmen. Oh, Elaine Carmen.
If I wait, do I get 3 minutes?
No, everyone gets 1 minute on this topic. You can do it now or you can do it before we discuss it.
So both times it's just 1 minute?
Yes.
Yeah, because the instruction said 3 minutes.
Right, but when we have 20 comments, people get less time. It's on our agenda.
Well, good
This
evening,
is so
board
people,
member.
if they would like to leave early or they need to leave early, they have the option to do both. So, yes.
Good evening, board members. I'm glad to be here to speak on behalf of the many families in Newport-Mesa schools and asking you to vote no on community schools. I've been in education for over 40 years and have single-handedly seen the decline of instruction. I'm having to skip a lot. Many children have just passed through a failing system, and so we're going to just add another layer upon another layer of failing systems to have more programs. What needs to be addressed is this country was founded on God, the one true God of creation. We all need to stop and recognize, admit, turn to God, because He is the one in charge, not teachers, not administrators, not the school board, not the government. He has the truth. He has the one to be trusted. And it is him who has our wisdom. We do not need community schools. We need neighborhood schools and separate community centers. Community schools are just another government takeover of our children. How daring to be a one-stop drop in the name of children.
Thank you.
Schools are not
Next
community
is
centers.
Victor Valladares.
The microphone.
It's built in.
Built in. Oh, built in. Oh, very fancy. Hola, saludos y buenas tardes. Mi nombre, mesa directiva, presidente y a los miembros de la mesa directiva de estudiantes. Mi nombre es Víctor Valladares, director ejecutivo de Oakview Comunidad, una organización comunitaria de base representando a los residentes de Orange County de bajos recursos. Estoy aquí para abogar para el modelo de escuelas comunitarias en el distrito escolar de Newport-Mesa Unified School District. Esto no tiene que ver nada con el socialismo. Se trata de inclusividad. Hay miembros que se parecen como mí, como todo el distrito escolar, no nada más una parte o un grupo del distrito. Estamos aquí porque sabemos que el programa de las escuelas comunitarias busca servir a todos reflejando la diversidad de todo nuestro distrito, no solamente un grupo selectos o vocales aquí juntos en esta mesa directiva. Insisto a la Junta que considere la adopción de modelos de escuelas comunitarias. Esto se trata de elevar a todos, no solo a unos. Gracias.
Would you like to translate yourself, or would you like Javier to do it?
Absolutely, I'd love to. Hello, greetings and good evening, Board of Trustees, President, student body, and the rest of the board. My name is Victor Valladares, Executive Director of Oakview Comunidad, a grassroots organization representing low-income residents in the County of Orange. I'm here to advocate for a community school model in our district. This is not about socialism, it's about inclusivity. Community schools aim to serve everyone, mirroring the diverse district, not just a select segment or a portion of the city or a portion of the district, but the entire district itself. I urge the board to consider adopting the community school model. This is about elevating everybody, not just a certain local vocal group or just a privileged few. This is about inclusivity and an equitable approach for our district. Thank you so much for your time, and I hope you all do the right thing. Thank you.
Next is Barbie George. And if we have anyone that needs translation, just let us know. We added an additional minute for the
Good
translation.
evening, my name is Barbie George. I'm the mother of 5 children, and I'm Afro-Latina. So for those who think that those who reside in Newport Beach don't understand what it's like to be in the inner city, I grew up in the South Bronx, Harlem, and Newark, New Jersey. But I didn't let my circumstances dictate my future, and I knew that I lived in the greatest country on earth, and that with hard work and perseverance, I can accomplish what I have in my life, which is going from Newark to Newport, but I earned it and nobody had to give it to me. This community school, all it will do is aspire people to be more dependent on the government. And it tells parents that they are incapable of providing the needs for their children. And so I ask you respectfully to vote no, because we are a people who are very capable. Please do not make us victims and dependent on the government. Thank you.
Next is Angie Andrade.
Hello, members of the board. My name is Angeli. I am a parent of a student at College Park Elementary in the west side of Costa Mesa. As a first-time parent, I immediately decided to join the PTA and got a first-hand experience on what a Title I school is, and I got to realize that I, myself, am a product of a Title I school without even knowing, growing up also in the inner cities. So I absolutely think that this, please hire the best grant writer to get us the most resources that we can for College Park, Pomona, Sonora, all the schools that need it the most. It's about holistic health for our kids. So yes, it would be a life-saving opportunity for many of our parents to know that my kid is going to get that tooth checked out because I can't afford the copay, right? It's that my kid is going to get whatever treatment, medical treatment that they may need, or maybe the psychological treatment, because most health plans don't provide mental health resources, or you have to go most of the time private. So thank you so much for thinking of our kids.
Okay, next is Bill Dunlap, and following that is Joni Nichols.
Thank you again for this opportunity. Obviously, I'll make it quick. We've done this once before. 2 years ago, we did the ADL contract and found out it was a far-leaning progressive group trying to promote DEI and CRT, and you guys, rightfully so, and we commend you for that, you canceled it. Okay, you didn't renew it, which was great. This is the same thing. This is another progressive group that wants to push community. Schools are a community. We've been doing it for 250 years. We didn't hire consultants to have us help us do this. You've got 6 great assistant superintendents. You got Dr. Smith. We can do this ourselves. The other thing is I need the district attorney to look into the potential conflict of 3 of you trustees who are paid by United Way, who sponsors this company that you're going maybe not to hire, I hope. So please look into that, because there is a potential conflict there if you're working for United Way and they're sending money to them.
Thank you. And next up is Joni.
Hello and good evening. I'm a parent, I'm an educator, I have a postgraduate degree in special education. I have taught in the United States, Scotland, England, Belgium, and Holland and Mexico. And my 3 children live in truly socialist countries. I'm here before you because I would like to implore you to please vote for what will be best for all our students, and most especially our vulnerable students. I don't think anybody could say it more poignantly than the 2 students who came up here to speak and the mother. And I want to thank that one mother, because I realized that's when I learned I needed glasses. I grew up in an inner city school, public school, and that's where we found out I needed glasses. And that's when we found out I needed help with hearing. Thank goodness my immigrant parents, who couldn't have provided that for me, had that assist. So I want to thank her for reminding me that. And I hope, as Victor said, that you will do what's the best for our students. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Achievement, a report on secondary curriculum update. Ms. Torres?
Yes, good evening, President Anderson, Board, and Dr. Smith. At this time, I'd like to welcome up our secondary team, Dr. Mike Shaka and Keith Carmona, who are going to share some slides with us tonight and provide some updates regarding our curriculum and some things we've been working on in our secondary schools. So I'll turn it over to them.
Good evening, President Anderson, members of the board, Superintendent Smith, and Executive Cabinet. Thank you for allowing us to share with you some updates around secondary curriculum and instruction this evening. Our goal for this presentation is to provide you pertinent information around some of the great things that are happening in our middle and high schools in Newport-Mesa Unified. First, we would like to talk about middle school science. This school year, we are continuing our journey of implementing our board-adopted middle school science curriculum, Open SciEd. Open SciEd is a hands-on, student-centered, inquiry-based science curriculum that is built around the next generation science standards. In the classroom, students engage in answering broad scientific questions over the course of a unit of study. While exploring a phenomenon, students make hypotheses, conduct experiments, collect and analyze data, and even design their own experiments. As an example, 7th grade science students are currently studying chemical reactions and matter while answering the broad question, how can we make something new that was not there before? To pique 7th grade students' curiosity and anchor the learning for the unit in the visible and concrete, students start with an experience of observing and analyzing a bath bomb as it fizzes and eventually disappears in the water. Their observations and questions about what is going on drive learning that digs into a series of related phenomena as students iterate and improve their models depicting what happens during chemical reactions for middle school science. By the end of the unit, students have a firm grasp on how to model simple molecules, know what to look for to determine if chemical reactions have occurred, and apply their knowledge to chemical reactions to show how mass is conserved when atoms are rearranged. In order to support our teachers in creating these experiences in the classroom, we have been providing ongoing support through our professional development and teacher articulation time. The Open SciEd curriculum is robust, and our teams are working closely together to bring alignment to the work that is being done at each of our school sites. Next, I'd like to share with you about where our science curriculum and instruction is headed for our high school students enrolled in biology, chemistry, and physics. As you may recall, last year our high school science teachers had the opportunity to participate in a pilot of new instructional materials. Through a very methodical process, our teachers evaluated several instructional programs and eventually narrowed it down to one program that they elected to conduct an extended pilot. That curriculum is also Open SciEd, the same curriculum being implemented at the middle school level. The decision to have an extended pilot was due to the fact that the final units of study of Open SciEd for the high school are not yet released. And we believe that it would be obviously most prudent to fully examine the curriculum before making a recommendation to the Board of Education for final approval. Just as in our middle school program, high school Open SciEd focuses on inquiry-based learning with the exploration of phenomena. The current unit of study, for example, in biology, asks the question, how do ecosystems work, and how can we understand them? How can they help us understand, and how can understanding them help protect us? In this unit, students investigate the 30 by 30 initiative, a proposal to protect 30% of U.S. lands and waters by 2030, and the reasons humans engage in conservation. Students use the Serengeti National Park in Africa as a case study to figure out how ecosystems and conservation principles work and how to apply those understandings to conservation dilemmas in the United States. Through investigations with complex data sets and hands-on simulations, students figure out how limiting factors impact carrying capacity, how group behavior impacts survival, and how biodiversity supports ecosystem resilience. The high school teachers that are participating in the extended Open SciEd pilot are receiving extensive training and allocated articulation time in order to best ready their classrooms for their students. We expect to make a final decision about which curriculum will be recommended to the Board of Education after this extended pilot is complete. Next, I will share with you that our teachers in middle school language arts, middle and high school world languages, and AP Environmental Sciences are now implementing their new textbook adoptions that the board approved last spring. Beginning over the summer and continuing through the start of the year, our students have access to new standards-aligned instructional materials in these three content areas. Each of them come with physical textbooks and as well as computer-based resources and materials and online versions of those texts. Again, we are seeking to provide ample support for our teachers so that the instruction that students are receiving in these subjects are optimally engaging. The last portion I'd like to share with you about tonight before I turn it over to Dr. Shaka is the wonderful new opportunity being piloted at Estancia High School, which is Algebra 1 for newcomers. It is recognized that we have a population of students coming to us from outside of the United States that may not speak English fluently, but possess math skills that enable them to access the mathematics of algebra in a different language. As such, we've created a section of algebra for Spanish-speaking newcomer students at Estancia High School. The goal of this class is to provide rigorous math instruction in algebra so that students enrolled are able to continue to move forward in their math journey while their language skills develop. It is important to note that the students identified for this class are newcomers, meaning that they have been in the U.S. for under 2 years. Additionally, their families were provided this option, but not required to be in the class, A typical algebra class in English was also an option for these students. It is also very important to note that this is certainly not lowering the bar for students in mathematics. Instead, it is keeping a very high level of rigor in math, but providing for instruction in 2 languages, Spanish as well as English. The teacher in the classroom is bilingual and adept at giving instruction in both languages. While the goal for these students is to have them achieve high levels of mathematics, there is also a focus in building supports in the English language so that we can create a pathway for students to transition into future math classes in English. The dual language focus for these students helps build confidence, it empowers our kids, and honors their native language as an asset. We will be collecting data on these students' progress during the school year, and I will share with you anecdotally that we are already, after having already visited this classroom, the early returns are extremely positive. Walking into the classroom, you will see a lively classroom filled with student voice, kids feeling connected to one another, their teacher, and their ability to do math. They communicate with peers in structured groups. They interact with one another in a way that is building their math skills as well as their confidence and their as academic scholars. If this model proves to be successful, we will examine the possibility of replicating it at other sites. Now at this time, I'd like to pass it over to Dr. Shaka with 2 other exciting initiatives in math.
Thank you, Mr. Carmona. President Anderson, members of the board, Dr. Smith, Executive Cabinet. I'm just making a brief cameo in this presentation. You just heard about a math pilot we're running at Estancia. I wanted to share 2 other math pilots that we're offering in this district at both Corona Del Mar High School and Newport Harbor. The first is multivariable calculus. We're piloting this class at Corona Del Mar High School, and what this does is this provides an opportunity for our students who have already exhausted all of our math opportunities in Newport-Mesa and are still in high school. So they've gone through algebra through calculus BC and are looking to take more math. So we've partnered with Coastline Community College to offer an in-bell schedule multivariable calculus class taught by a Coastline Community College professor. This is really exciting because these students can go take multivariable calculus, continue to earn high school and college credit should they choose, and continue their math experience inside our district. We are piloting this class and looking to expand this option should it prove successful. This first year, we're learning a lot about what the kids and community college need most and how they partner together.
That's great.
Next, we have Math 100. This has been a partnership a long time in the making. We have partnered with Orange Coast College in this scenario and Newport Harbor High School to offer an in-bell schedule Math 100 class. Now I want you to think about this for just a second. Math 100 is the general mathematics class most students who are not math majors are required to take either at community college or at our state Cal States and UC schools. So a student at Newport Harbor can take this class under the supervision of our Newport Harbor staff, and should they choose, complete their college math requirement before they leave for college. So a student who's interested in something that might not be math related can overcome what could be the largest stumbling block for some of our students in post-secondary and have it all taken care of before they leave. This is a really exciting opportunity, and again, a pilot that we're working on that we hope will be successful and we can expand to other schools. We're tracking the data, and we'll continue to keep you updated as we move forward. And now I'd like to pass it back to Mr. Carmona.
Thank you. And before you leave, thank you and congratulations on winning the Golden Bell for the district for graduation coaches. So thank you for spearheading that.
Finally, we wanted to share with you 2 resources that are serving as a great benefit to the implementation of curriculum in the secondary schools. The first is the work being done by our floater teachers. These individuals are full-time teachers that have been hired to serve as daily subs in our K-12 classrooms so that our classroom teachers can have the opportunities to participate in professional development, attend conferences, work on curriculum alignment committees, and seek to improve overall instruction for kids. It was born out of the sub shortage and has been a very creative solution. Currently, we have 12 of these teachers that are deployed around our sites daily, and they have quickly become an incredible resource. The last is the addition of several teachers on special assignment positions at the secondary level. We've added in teaching TOSAs at the middle and high school English, language arts, and science content areas. Each of these 4 individuals teach 2 periods during the day and then serve as supports for our teachers for the balance of their daily assignment. The value of this split is that they are experiencing firsthand the curriculum and instructional initiatives that we're focusing on, and then in turn can be even more responsive to our teachers' needs as they serve in an instructional coach capacity. They help facilitate curriculum implementation, ply teachers with all of the needed resources, and work to bring our schools into further alignment. So, that's all that we have for you this evening, but we'd be happy to take any questions that you may have. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Trustee Bartow.
Thank you. I'm so excited. You know what a math nerd I am. I'm so excited to see these pathways being offered. With the multivariable, if that works, is that something we would expand to other high schools, or would we, I mean, there's probably not a lot of students that want to take this. Would we have them go to that one high school? How would we handle that if it catches on?
Yeah, when I saw the sample math question that we had as our graphic, my head started to get a little dizzy. This is very high level math. So what we've done is look at student interest, and we want to match the resources to student interest. So should students at other schools show an interest, there's going to be a certain threshold of students that need to show interest, but absolutely if it's there.
Right, because I mean, I can't imagine you get more than a handful, because it's if you to complete BC and then go on to that. But that's great that we are exploring that and really pushing the limits of what we can offer for our students. I'm so excited. And then for the Math 100, would that be available? Can you kind of walk, because I know what it is, but can you kind of walk through what the topics covered and why you do that instead of maybe since it covers your math requirement, how it's not maybe calculus, but it's the math that you normally need?
Yeah, so Math 100 is the class that students who are generally majoring in not a non-math related major take to get their general education math requirement out of the way at our community college system, our Cal State, and our UC. So we're excited. It's a combination. It's got some Algebra 2 in there. They recommend that the students have completed Algebra 2 before they're ready for Math 100. So those are the group of students that we have in there right now. But we've been working with Orange Coast College to talk about a partnership to where we could possibly look at students who have taken algebra and geometry only, and then creating certain scaffolds in the class to make sure that they're successful in Math 100 after they finish geometry.
Thank you. And then with the floater teachers, has there been any, and I think there has, but I might be forgetting, any discussion on having sort of the floater teachers help with some of our math and science classes? I know a lot of students who are going through those kind of before they get to the Math 100. There's a lot of students with challenges in the enhanced math pathways. Are we going to be using the floater teachers to kind of help with that, or have we explored that at all?
So the floater teachers are primarily focused in on providing, basically they serve as like a day-to-day sub for teachers that are going to get released. So we could examine that, and we could certainly look into that. Perhaps a way to do that is to be able to utilize them in those classrooms so that the teachers in those classrooms can have additional training or additional supports along the way.
Okay.
You can definitely look at that. Thank you.
Thank you.
That's a great question. They don't do professional development every day. Student board member Brianna.
I'm also a math nerd, like Ms. Barta. I was going to ask a similar question, but then I had another question, because I'm in Calc AB, so I know if I take the AP test and I pass it, then that's how you get your credit for college. So for the multivariable calculus, do you take a test, or do you know if you just have to pass the class to get credit?
That's a great question. So the first thing is which students are able to take the class. So what they're looking for is a student who has scored a 5 on either the AB or the BC AP test. And if the student has gotten a 5 on the AP test, then they're qualified for multivariable calculus. Now, if you take that class, you automatically get the college credit. So there's not an exam you have to take similar to IB or AP. If you pass the class, you get the credit.
That's cool.
Great question.
Thank you.
Next is Trustee Crane.
Yes, I have a couple of questions. These courses, are they semester
for example, the multivariable calculus class, is that a semester class or is it a year-long class?
Again, a great question. They're both this year running at semester classes.
Okay.
Now, what we've talked about with the partnership is the possibility of expanding it to a slower paced year-long experience. And maybe running both options for the kids. But this year, both multivariable calculus and Math 100 are semester. So at Newport Harbor in particular, we're going to be able to offer Math 100 second semester to a new group of students.
Okay. So, and then, I also have another question about class size. You may not know this, but maybe you can get back to us on it. How popular are these classes? Are we finding a niche within our community to meet the needs of these kids?
Math 100 is extremely popular.
Okay.
We have yet to meet the current demand of
Wow.
Math 100, so this
Okay.
pilot is going to tell us a lot, but that's going to be an extremely popular option. Multivariable calculus, we had, I believe it was 17 students that qualified when faced with the realities of what multivariable calculus entails. We're down to single digits this year, but again, it's our first year for pilot,
right,
and we're
exactly.
optimistic it's going to grow.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
When offered as a year-long.
And then, yeah, and then the Algebra 1 for newcomers, I think that's so innovative. I love that. And what would be the next language in line if you were to add another class?
So obviously, we'd want to look at student need, and certainly Spanish is the kind of the primary language of our English learners, but we know that we have a growing population of students speaking Russian, Ukrainian, and so I think all of those would be in a part of that conversation. We want to see how what it looks like for our students this year, and the goal isn't necessarily to create a second pathway in multiple languages,
Right.
but to incorporate literacy in there. So we would entertain all of those.
Thank you.
Trustee Ursulou?
Great, thank you for the presentation. So before the existence of the Algebra 1 for newcomers, what class were those newcomers would have been in before?
Right, so as with all of our English learners, they're enrolled in core math, science, social studies, and so the approach would be a scaffolded approach for those students, recognizing, of course, for our newcomers that's rather difficult.
So those newcomers would have been in the typical Algebra 1 class?
And they still have that opportunity as well.
Okay. And how are we going to judge if this works better for them or not? Are we looking to see that their average learning is higher than it was of the cohort that was in the regular algebra class? Like how are we going to know if it succeeded?
Yeah, that's exactly right. So by basically looking at we're fortunate to have benchmark assessments in our, and of course assessments in our classes. And so we can look at the results of students, kind of historically speaking, that meet that same demographic and how they performed over time on those math assessments.
Awesome, thanks.
Yep.
I had a question about the TOSAs. How do you decide which subjects you're going to place a TOSA? So currently there's science and language arts.
Great, yeah, great question. So we previously had one singular TOSA last year, working in science supporting both middle and high school. So science continued to be a priority because we were in the midst of implementing new science curriculum at the middle school level, and then we were in the process of adopting at the high school level, so it just requires additional support there. Additionally, we were at the middle school adopting English language arts in the middle school level, and our high school language arts teachers are a group that we would like to bring kind of further into alignment and provide additional support to. They are a group that we would like to pay extra attention to, so we made the decision to start there, see how the model works, and then evaluate going forward.
Great, thank you. That's very helpful. Any other questions?
Just trying to solve that calculus problem.
Thank you so much.
It's been 20 years since I've done that.
Thank you.
And next, we have our consent calendar. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Okay, moved by Trustee Wigand.
I second.
Seconded by Trustee Pearson. Are there any questions? Okay, Roll call vote, please.
Trustee Anderson?
Yes?
Trustee Crane?
Yes.
Trustee Weigand?
Yes.
Trustee Pearson?
Yes.
Trustee Murphy?
Yes.
Trustee Ursulou?
Yes.
Trustee Barto?
Yes.
Great. And now we are having our public hearing for compliance with requirements of Education Code Section 60119 and 60422B, sufficiency of textbooks or instructional materials that are consistent with the content and cycles of the curriculum framework for 2023-24, the Williams Settlement legislation. Ms. Shields.
Yes, if we could just open the public
Yes, we will
hearing.
open the hearing at 7:30 on the dot. We do not have any public comments, so we will close it at 7:30. Ready, yeah?
So then we follow with the adoption
Yes.
of the resolution.
Did you want to declare, though, that we don't have any?
Certainly, with the adoption of the resolution, the board would declare that we do have an adequate supply of adopted textbook materials for all the students in the district.
Great. Thank you very much. And next, we have our resolution 20A, adopt resolution number 071023 in compliance with the requirements of Education Code 60119, 60422B, the sufficiency of textbooks and instructional materials. Do I have a motion to adopt?
So
resol-
moved.
Okay.
I second.
Moved by Trustee Crane, seconded by Trustee Pearson. Roll call vote.
Trustee Anderson?
Yes?
Trustee Crane?
Yes.
Trustee Weigand?
Yes.
Trustee Pearson?
Yes.
Trustee Murphy?
Yes.
Trustee Ursulou?
Yes.
Trustee Barto?
Yes.
Okay. And next, we have 20B, adopt resolution 081023, selection of Farmers and Merchants Bank as a depository for various accounts of district and authorization therewith. Mr. Trader.
On occasion, we have changes in personnel and need to make changes to account authorizations, and this resolution will do that.
Thank you very much. Do we have a motion to adopt the resolution?
So moved.
Okay, moved by Trustee Weigand,
Second.
seconded by Trustee Crane. Roll call vote.
Trustee Anderson?
Yes?
Trustee Crane?
Yes.
Trustee Weigand?
Yes.
Trustee Pearson?
Yes.
Trustee Murphy?
Yes.
Trustee Ursulou?
Yes.
Trustee Barto?
Yes.
And next, we'll begin discussion action. 21A, approve credential waiver for certificated employees. Ms. Olson.
Thank you. Good evening. Tonight, we bring forward for the board approval for credential waivers for our certificated employees who will be teaching driver's ed. Driver's ed is required as an offering. However, currently, there is not a teaching credentialing program for it. So therefore, this waiver allows us to have people teach it. They are credentialed teachers, just not in this area, and should a program become available, then they would enroll.
Do we have a motion to adopt the waiver?
So moved.
Okay, moved by Trustee Weigand,
Second.
seconded by Trustee Crane. Roll call vote.
Student Board Member Brianna Garcia?
Yes.
Trustee Anderson?
Yes.
Trustee Crane?
Yes.
Trustee Weigand?
Yes.
Trustee Pearson?
Yes.
Trustee Murphy?
Yes.
Trustee Ursulou?
Yes.
Trustee Barto?
Yes.
And then next, we have our 21B, first reading and adoption of modifications to board policy. Dr. Smith.
So the board policy edit team has worked with staff, in this case, Assistant Superintendent Trader and Assistant Superintendent Torres, so they can answer questions. The board policies have been reviewed by the policy edit team. Our board policy 1330, use of facilities, board policy 3513.3, tobacco use free schools, and board policy 5131.62, tobacco.
Do we have a motion? And then if you have any questions?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Trustee Crane, seconded by Trustee Murphy. Any questions?
I don't have a question, but thank you for opening the pools earlier on Sunday. Appreciate that. Heard some comments from it, so thank you.
Yes, every day of the week. We're trying for uniformity of timing.
Got to win those championships.
Tennis courts, the fields, the pools, all the same times.
Right.
Every day, the same days. Trustee Crane.
I just want to also make a comment about updating the tobacco-free schools policy. It was much needed, so thank you, team, for doing that. Technology is evolving in that field with e-cigarettes, vapes, and all that, so we need to include it. So I'm glad that we're staying relevant and keeping up with the times.
Yes. One day we may have a vape smoke detector, I hear. It's very
Gonna work
interesting
on that.
times.
Yeah, Gonna work on that.
Any other questions, comments? All right. Roll call vote, please.
Student Board Member Brianna Garcia,
Yes.
Trustee Anderson,
Yes.
Trustee Crane,
Yes.
Trustee Weigand,
Yes.
Trustee Pearson,
Yes.
Trustee Murphy,
Yes.
Trustee Ursulou,
Yes.
Trustee Barto.
Yes.
Okay. And now we have for 21C, we'll have our item that we moved, 18B4, from the consent calendar. And Ms. Shields.
Yes, thank you. So I don't know the order in which you want to do this, if you'd like me to kind of explain the contract?
Yeah, that would be great. Thank you.
Certainly. So as just a little bit of background, the state of California has invested in community schools, as you heard earlier, and it had offered 2 rounds of grants, planning grants and implementation grants. Planning grants ended last year, and the implementation grant will be on its, I believe, 3rd round this year. And there are other districts in Orange County. Tustin has an planning grant, I believe. Garden Grove has a planning grant, others, Anaheim Union, Anaheim Elementary. There are a number of colleague districts in Orange County that have received community school grants in an effort supported by the County Office of Education as well. And so looking at the goals of the pillars, they call them, of community schools, there are 4 that are deeply aligned with the board goals that have been charged to the schools in the district. And they really include increased parent engagement, of course, literacy, learning, academics, meeting all the needs of students, collaborating with community partners, and expanded learning. And so knowing that there is state money available to support our efforts in meeting the board goals, it is a concept brought before you to consider finding that support from further state dollars to bring those goals to fruition here in the district. Of course, all of these are to serve the academic goals that the school district has set forth. What we understand is that many families come with a different set of resources, and that there are ways that we can serve families by things like, I wanted to kind of put in people's minds what the types of things we're considering, and that this really is the most local form of control and uplifting parent voice, teacher voice, student voice to really state their needs and to address them. But the types of things that community school projects have funded across the state and here locally in Orange County are things like home visits, early childhood focus, 0 to 5, parent education, further ELOP and enrichment opportunities, CTE connections across grade levels, thinking about vertical alignment, tutoring, mentoring, family engagement events, very similar to the resource fair we had this summer, where so many families we know in our district came out. Funds like this would help us offer that more often. Most of this would happen outside of school. We know that we need instructional time, and that is what we're seeking to create the best options for during the school day. And we know that providing resources like listening circles and focus groups, which would amplify, again, the voices of parents, students, and staff. Things like food banks and nutrition services. We know that many of our families after school hours may struggle to find adequate food. Transportation, dental, as we heard earlier, dental assistance, eyesight glasses, and also housing supports. We know that this is an incredibly difficult place to find and secure housing. It's very high cost of living here, and many of our families face daily stressors in securing adequate housing. Those are the types of services that the school community themselves would discuss, and we would bring forward and match the best existing community resources. And we know we have so many. We're about to enter into the holiday season, and we're already getting bombarded with caring community partners who want to provide for families who they know might struggle through the holiday season. This type of thoughtful, organized, integrated support with additional staff to be the person to do that, to not take away from the time the teacher needs to spend on instruction, to not take away from existing resources. Those are the types of things we would hope to offer to schools and allow their voice to guide the way as we bring forward the appropriate community partners in that work.
Thank you. Do we have questions? Oh, actually, oh yes, we'll do our speakers first. First, we have Carmen Ramirez, and we'll have Chris Jones, Wendy Lease, and Dr. Kelly Brown. I'm sorry.
Buenas tardes a todos los miembros de la mesa, la presidenta Ashley. Creo que nomás me dieron un minuto, necesito no respirar para hacerlo rápido. Mi nombre es Carmen Ramírez. Tengo un niño en nuestro distrito de Newport, el mejor, siempre lo he dicho, y estoy aquí para expresar nuestro fuerte y colectivo apoyo al modelo de la escuela comunitaria en nuestro distrito. Las escuelas comunitarias se centran en el bienestar completo de nuestros niños, brindando oportunidades equitativas para que todos los niños tengan éxito, independientemente de su origen socioeconómico. Solamente quiero decir que en el distrito como en el condado de Alameda, las escuelas comunitarias han demostrado ser beneficiosas, especialmente en áreas de gran necesidad. Creemos que todos los niños de Newport-Mesa merecen las mismas ventajas. Estaba escuchando a la señorita Socorro y creo que es casi yo tengo un eco muy grande sobre eso. Creo que necesitamos, hay 4 recursos para una evaluación integral de necesidades, para identificar las necesidades más urgentes de nuestros estudiantes y familias, establecer asociaciones con agencias comunitarias para llevar servicios vitales, salud mental, es que lo más que se está necesitando en nuestro distrito, y apoyo socio directamente emocional a nuestras escuelas, comprometerse con la transparencia, involucrar a nosotros los padres que estamos activos y miembros de la comunidad en el proceso de toma de decisiones. Invertir en las escuelas comunitarias es una inversión en nuestro futuro. Como padres de familia, imploramos a la Junta que considere seriamente apoyar este modelo transformador para mejorar nuestra comunidad. Gracias por su atención.
Lo tenía en inglés.
En inglés.
Hello, members of the board, superintendent, and guests. My name is Carmen Ramirez. I have a child in the best district, I always say, in Newport Unified School District. Today, I'm here to express our collective and strong support for the community school model in our district. Should I continue?
Yeah, you have a minute.
Community schools focus on the complete well-being of our children, providing equitable opportunities for every child to succeed, irrespective of their socioeconomic background. Just like Ms. Socorro said, I identify with what she mentioned. In districts like Alameda County, community schools have proven beneficial, especially in high-need areas. We believe the children of Newport-Mesa deserve these same advantages. We urge the Board of Trustees to allocate resources for a comprehensive needs assessment to identify most urgent needs of our students and families, establish partnerships with community agencies to bring vital services like health, mental health, and social support directly into our schools. We know that we need that. And to commit to transparency and actively involve parents, caregivers, and community members in the decision-making process. Investing in community schools is an investment that the district should make. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Chris Jones, followed by Wendy Weiss.
Good evening, board members. Thank you again for the opportunity to speak this evening. I was curious to learn more about community schools this evening, as well as how care is determined and delivered. I know for myself and many other parents, we like having the reassurance, and thank you for that description, that care is always discussed and approved by students, parents, or legal guardian. If parents and guardians can remain part of the decision-making process, they can work together with health practitioners and educated professionals to find a solution that is best for their child. Ultimately, I hope that our collective goal always remains caring for our children, allowing families to navigate resources that their children may need, and just being the phenomenal community that this is. I can't imagine living anywhere else, and I thank you for the supports that are out there, but I think parents being involved in knowing their children so well is the ultimate key. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Wendy Weiss, and then Dr. Kelly Brown.
Good evening, Madam President, Dr. Smith, and members of the trustees. With all due respect, I signed up a card to speak about the library. Did you not see that?
No, I didn't. I apologize.
Do you mind if I?
Yes.
Since you've already voted on it, can I just give my 2 cents? Would that be all right? And then
Well,
have an-
it was the agreement with the city, so.
That's right.
I mean, I know you know that, but some of our other speakers, I think, didn't realize that we're not in control of the library books at Mariners Library. But yes, please.
Well, to that point, President Anderson, we aren't really controlled, but in the contract, where I'll talk for my minute, the new books, when it does say here, if the district presents a new book, a copy, to be considered in the joint collection, that the district shall be solely responsible for the cost to acquire the new material. So, and then it's very convoluted on the next page under 2.2 as far as how to, a taxpayer like me, I guess we can fill out the form, but according to the district policies and procedures, those aren't outlined. So just going forward, see if you can make it a little bit easier on citizens and taxpayers, parents and grandparents who've had kids in the district to file a complaint about a book that's a concern. So anyway, switching gears here.
No, thank you. We'll address that and.
Pardon?
Dr. Smith will address it
Okay.
during his comments.
Okay, thank you. All right, so now we're on to the community schools. I urge you to vote no. I believe that we have very many highly paid people who are fully capable of assessing the community's needs without hiring a firm from Oakland, which has a different agenda. They do not live here. They do not embrace our values, which are very unique to Newport-Mesa. And I've been in meetings where the Delphi method at tables, and people are, spread out, and people are intimidated by the consultants and by staff too. So the reason that I tell you that is that 46 years ago, I got involved in Newport-Mesa because who's 50 now, he went to Victoria Preschool. And they said, you have to take this parenting class if you want to have your kid in preschool. I said, okay, I just had a baby. It was the government telling me how to parent. I said, no way, I didn't do it. So that's why I'm here still.
Okay, thank you very much. Dr. Kelly Brown.
Good evening. Thank you so much for allowing me to speak. I just am here to urge you to vote yes on the service agreement with the Community Schools Learning Exchange. I am a mom. My daughter goes to Costa Mesa Middle School. I am also an educator. So I guess I want to speak about this on 2 levels in 45 seconds. First is professionally. I've been working in the UC system as an instructor and as an administrator for over 20 years. And prior to that, worked in early care and education for children 0 to 5. And what I will say both at that level and what we see in the college is that academic success is entirely predicated upon serving the whole student. And so whatever we can do in Newport-Mesa to support the development of the whole student leads to stronger educational outcomes. That's something that we're dealing with at the UC system. But on a personal level, I will just say, my daughter was in Harborview Elementary School for 5 years, and we moved her over to College Park, a Title I school. She's now in Costa Mesa Middle School. And the discrepancy between resources is something I had no idea about. Whatever we can do to obtain resources for Title I schools is something we should do.
Thank you. Okay, Trustee Wigand.
Thank you, and thank you for all the speakers. I had a couple concerns on the on this grant for community schools. One, I think I heard someone talk about a comprehensive needs assessment, and I do believe that, you know, there are needs in this district, and I don't want to. I saw, you know, I heard a lot of students come up and talk about their needs and what they want, and I want to be able to provide that support for our students. But I think before we even go about saying, yes, let's write a grant to get some of this money, is let's figure out what we really want our community schools to be and figure out, you know, do we need, is it more tutoring support? Is it extended learning opportunities? What does that all look like? Because I know that the idea of community schools is scary to some constituents, and, you know, I want to make sure that what our students need is what we're giving them, but also that we give them with our parents. And I know that there is a big discrepancy with how well a student does in school based on if their parents are engaged in their education. So I would hope that as we are looking at a possible opportunities for you know, a type of services that a community school could provide, which I think would only be tutoring and a lot of educational supports and after-school activities. Those types of things, I do believe, would really benefit our students. But I think we need to take a step back at first and see, okay, what is that community school, or what do our students really need, and what do we want to get out of this? Because I can tell you the things that we don't want, or would be, you know, medical attention to our students without parental consent, anything like that goes above and beyond what our parents are willing to do. But again, you know, there are, I think you said $4 billion on the table of our hard-earned tax money that we've spent, and I'd like to get some money of that and use it in our district, but for the right reasons. So those are my comments on that.
Thank you. Trustee Murphy.
Well, so first of all, the one thing to know about community schools, we don't establish what the community school is, the community does. I mean, that's like sort of the whole point, is the community comes together, the parents come together, they decide what they want in their school. The parents may say they want dental care, and that may be what they want in their school. I don't actually believe it's up to us to tell them that they can't have dental care in their school. Because if that community has come together in their school to take a look at what their kids need, and that's what they decide on, then we have to go with it. I mean, it's not us establishing what a community school is going to be. The whole point is the parents and the community coming together to decide what the community school should be. And it's not even community school, what resources should be in that community. So I find the language twisting here to be disingenuous or not exactly truthful, because community schools, if you want to call them community schools, have been around since the early 2000s. They were originally called Healthy Start. They were doing phenomenally in the state. We had the Great Recession. Jerry Brown cut all the funding for them. It was a sad day for a lot of schools that had spent a lot of time, a lot of energy, and a lot of resources on developing the appropriate programs that their parents and their community felt they needed in those schools. So there was actually a lot of schools that went ahead and fundraised on their own to bring and keep those resources that they were able to get through Healthy Start funding, to keep them in those schools, even though they didn't have state funding anymore. So education advocates for years and years and years and years and years, have been trying to bring these back. Because what we do know, what we've certainly heard from everybody, is when you are involved as a parent in your school, you know what your school needs. That's the process that works, that's the system that works, that's what we're supporting. When we saw an opportunity, you know, education advocates saw an opportunity with the budget to finally get the funding back, it was like kind of a little bit of a miracle, I will say. I mean, $4 billion is a lot of your taxpayer dollars, as we all know. No one thought the governor would sign it, and he did. So now we have an amazing opportunity to bring some of this funding back to Newport-Mesa, back to our communities, our parents who want to see programming in their schools that is not currently there. And they have every right to make those decisions and decide and take a look at it themselves, figure out what's going to work for them. It may be tutoring at one school, it may be after-school programming at another school, it may be dental care at another school. But that, to me, is not up to us as the board to decide. What's up to us is to give the schools the resources and our administrators the resources and the support that they need to make sure that our kids are the most successful they can possibly be. Kelly is absolutely right. This whole child model is the whole goal of it is to make sure we have the best educational outcomes we can possibly achieve. I want to see those schools that were identified that could be potential community schools have much better outcomes. The whole point is for them to have better outcomes. The reason why I ran for this position was to make sure that our kids were all reading at, 80% or 90% or whatever at grade level, but as high as we can get those numbers out. I mean, the reading scores in and of themselves, bother me. Same with the math scores, language arts scores. I could never take that calculus class, but I mean, go for it, all you math people.
Brianna and
So I just have to put that out there, that I hear the concerns, I understand where people may have been misinformed about keeping secrets. No one's keeping any secrets here. This whole approach is based on the parents coming together and looking at their school and what their school needs. I hear you, Krista. I would never support anything where we were just going to blanket say, no, now you're going to go do this. Mm-hmm. I don't believe in that model either. I just have to say, there's a lot of United Ways in the state of California, just so we're all clear. Orange County United Way is its very own standalone 501c3. I have never heard of CSLE until this was brought up in the board agenda. So for anyone out there who might be concerned that I have any sort of conflict of interest, Orange County United Way does not have a contract with CSLE. We have never supported CSLE. I'd never heard of them before this agenda item. So just to be very clear, Orange County United Way has nothing to do with CSLE. I have no idea if they are the right folks to help us in our grant writing. I don't necessarily know. There could be other vendors that could be better. That is certainly a possibility, and certainly something, if that's what we want to entertain, certainly open to that. But I just have to defend community schools because it is a model based on parent engagement and based on community engagement at its heart. So, and I know we all want our kids to be doing the best that they can possibly do and be, and we want to give them all the supports that they need to get there. So that's what I have to say about that.
Thank you.
I'll probably get videoed up again. That's what I have to say about that.
Trustee Pearson.
Okay, I'm just confused. Are we writing the grant ourselves, or are we voting for the $450,000 for them to write the grant for us?
Never $450,000.
Okay, 45.
And that was a series of trainings and meetings and building the knowledge and understanding of what this is and taking us through the cycle of the needs assessment and the conversations to then inform the grant and write the grant. And so they would be writing alongside of us. They have been one of the providers of capacity building around this concept, again, both here and in this region. But in the end, we would be writing the grant, we would be defining kind of and analyzing and summarizing and seeing what our parents have said, but they would be alongside us, helping, understanding. I mean, the grant process, as many of you know, it's also what are people looking for to be awarded the money, and because they've helped other organizations with that, they kind of know some of the formula to make sure we would be awarded the money. So if we have to write about like what parts they value the most in writing about that, to our context, our parents, our community, our student voices.
Okay, and do we know, are there strings attached to this money? I mean, do we know what the requirements are to keep this money, to get it and then to keep it?
Well, I will put an asterisk because state money is state money, and I don't want to like think like I know what they're going to say all the time because, you know, the state's the state. But right now, what the requirement is that everyone who gets these grants would hire a person for that site. So the requirement is, and they don't even tell you what position, but they want acknowledgement that this work takes more than what we already have, that this is additional work for the sites to be able to integrate and make harmony of all these different things and resources that people need that are not the day-to-day work of schools and teachers, that the people applying for this grant understand, that the districts understand for every school, each one of those schools needs to have a position. So it's not a district position, it's a site position to help organize and coordinate all of those ongoing activities, services, whatever might come of it. So that is the known agreement, plus of course evaluating, and kind of like the LCAP where we've said this is what we're going to do, that we have to turn in the evidence that we have done what we proclaimed we would do with the money. So the known requirement is employing that new position for this new work.
Okay, one more. I am all for getting kids what they need and when they need it. I'm just afraid that coming from the government, getting money from the government, this is going to become something that we didn't intend it to be. And I think that's what worries me, are these requirements that we might need to do. And I think that's what our constituents are worried about, is that leaking into other schools and other situations. And the dentist, I would love to get the help from within. I know I've toured the Assistance League area where they have the dentist right there. So what's the difference between us spending money, for the dental at their community, but when we already have that help already in place?
So this would be helping something like, let's say a site said dental, and they were kind of within proximity of the Assistance League, which does so much for so many of our schools. This would be maybe getting a bus that has a routine pathway that gets people to the dental clinic. So it wouldn't be us creating new stuff. It would be us connecting the families who need those things that already exist, that are already trusted partners in our community, getting them closer together, just like we did in the resource fair where you kind of put everybody together. This is helping people access the things that they've said are most important to their children and their family to be the strongest they possibly can when they arrive to our school doors. So it isn't about replicating any strong resources that already exist. It's about building tighter and closer connections so that families don't struggle getting there. And I would say just one more thing, board member, we already receive some government money. And one of the things about this money, and Mr. Trader might have the specific language, but because it is short-term funding, there is a way when we hire, and Ms. Olson could also help, there is a way when we hire that there are escape latches, if you would, if the money was to go away. And so the district is protected in that if the money goes away because of some budget item, which that is also possible at any given time,
or we decide that the cost of doing business this way with that money is too much for the district, there are mechanisms to fall out and not incur long-term budgetary restrictions or damages or to our personnel. There are ways to do that that hold everyone as harmless as possible, knowing the funding is being cut either by our choice or the state's.
Trustee Ursulou.
Yeah, this is a great conversation to have, and I think a couple items about what, asking about what strings are attached. As an evaluator on several state funding streams, what the state wants to know is, did we spend the money like we said, exactly what Socorro just explained? That's what they want to know. Will Socorro fill out the reports on time that are due every quarter to the state? Did she sign them properly? Did she do all the things that we promised we would deliver on? Those are the only strings that come with this kind of money. It's, do we do what we say we're going to do for the kids we say we're going to do it for? So there's really no hidden agenda. We hear that word a lot. Someone's got this agenda, that agenda. An Oakland-based firm. They're an Oakland-based firm, so they're close to Sacramento because they have such a deep understanding of community schools. And I know that Trustee Murphy mentioned that she hasn't heard of them in her line of work, but I have, and they're out there and they have a good reputation and they have the expertise and the connections to ensure that when we have a team like that working with our team and with the county all together, they have a track record that's solid, that gets money into schools that need it. And I understand the concerns for those folks that think that, many of these things are parents' responsibilities. Parents' responsibilities, we hear that a lot, and that's great. But having grown up and worked in my entire life, grown up, then worked in, no longer living in, just working in low-income communities, I can attest to you that not everyone has these magical unicorn resources within their family to pull this kid out to the place that he needs to be. It's all about Maslow's hierarchy of needs. If we can't meet their physiological needs, their safety needs, and their basic care, they cannot cognitively learn. If our job here, all of us, is to make sure kids can learn, we need to make sure that they have those basics of the pyramid settled first, that they're not starving, that they're not tired, that they just didn't get beat last night. We need all those things to be in place for them to do multivariate calculus and do it well. So until that day comes, we need resources that wrap around the whole child and the whole family, and the school site is just the easiest place to deliver it. It doesn't mean it's a value that we have or we're pushing something on some family. It's, hey, parents in this neighborhood, what would you like to see that would help you? Okay, you'd like that? All right, look, we just got $4 million and we can help you with that. Cool, great. So it may not appease the people that come from a different community. If you're coming here from Newport Beach and you're telling us that your family and your children that you know don't need X, Y, and Z, cool, you don't have to. But at what were the 6 schools identified? At the 6 Title I schools in Costa Mesa that have been identified as having needs, don't prohibit us from taking this money on the west side and helping our kids, because our kids need help. So it's really important. I think I don't want us to get caught up on such a mundane thing as a grant application consulting firm. So if it will appease people and calm their nerves, I just don't want to lose this firm because they have those connections and the ability to know what will sell in the grant writing space, what will get us that money. So if the amount of, the $45,000 is a deal breaker for people, what if we just contract them? Because it sounds like Socorro and her team have already been working on there's 2 steps of needs assessments when you write a grant. There's a preliminary, just enough to get the grant out the door. Then there's the, hey, we need to really assess with all the parents and all the kids what they want to do exactly with this money. And the state usually gives you like 6 months or 9-month planning period. Once you get that money in the door, hey, this is the kind of thing we want to do. And that's where the parental involvement will definitely happen because you can't do the work without that. So for this preliminary period of quick and dirty kind of needs assessment, it sounds like our staff has a handle on it. So if folks would be open to the idea of just still giving a contract, but a $15,000 for them to solely weigh in on the grant writing review at the end, because we do need another pair of eyes to make sure that we are getting the maximum bang for the buck, to make sure that we bring that money into this district, because it's our taxpayer money. I want to bring our money back here. So if we could,
think that, outside the box, fine, don't give them 45 to do the deep needs assessment and all of that work, but 15 so that they can at least advise on the grant-making process and make sure it gets through the door cleanly, and has their engagement, because ultimately, when you're based up in Oakland in Northern California, you have access and you have ways to make sure that our stuff gets seen and gets validated. So I would like to make a motion if people will have it, or if we're going to have more discussion first.
More discussion, please.
Okay.
Thank you.
Trustee Crane?
All right, so we've read a lot of emails, truly on both sides of the argument. One concern was the specific consultant that was assigned to this contract. Do we have any way to possibly ask for a separate or a different consultant to be on our team? Because I know they mentioned the name Mr. Bridgeforth was a concern. And so if we want to appear like we're listening to our constituents and there's a little bit of a leeway that we can, suggest something different, is that possible?
Certainly, entering into any contract, the district would never give away our rights to do something that meets the needs of our district. So if that was the decision the board would make, that person is not the right person to partner with us, that is the clarity we would make with the group. And I do know there are other people who could work with us, particularly if we've narrowed it specifically.
Okay, because it sounds like we're already doing a lot of that community school work anyway. And it has been a board priority to support the whole child, engage in meaningful constituent conversation, including the community. We've been doing this since I've been on the board, and it's been a direction of the board to involve the community. And I know we have at least 60 to 100 community partners, such as ones that were mentioned earlier and more. So I think what we need to understand and feel comfortable with is the fact that we could have that localized control. We're not doing the model that's being done at San Francisco, for example. Right. We are localizing it to what Newport-Mesa needs and to the extent and the comfort level of the board. And so I think, I'm sure that we can do that, right? We're not just copying, we're not copycats of a different district's method or model. It's one that we can, after we hear from this consultant, then focus and try to get the grant.
It is very contextualized. The 4 pillars still stand, but as you mentioned, those pillars really do represent our 4 board goals quite closely.
And hey, it's money coming from the state. It's not costing us anything, so I see it as an opportunity. But we also need to be comfortable as a board to go ahead with it.
Understood.
Okay. Trustee Barto, you have not shared yet, right?
Yes, I can't tell if my light is on or
It
off.
is.
So
It is.
It is
Yeah,
not.
I just wanted to make sure. We have 2 other, but they have already spoken once, so you're next.
So one of the reasons I decided to run for school board 6 years ago, whatever it is now, was because I was at a meeting with a bunch of nonprofits, and I was there as a fly on the wall for another nonprofit that I'm part of. And watching the folks at that time from our school district and a bunch of other community partners all being in the same room, really wanting to help each other, but no one kind of speaking the same language and understanding what everyone else was asking for, was frustrating to me, and was something that I felt like I, through knowing lots of different people in the space and coming from a communication, business, connecting kind of background, could help with. So I think very strongly about connecting our community partners to our schools. I work at the Assistance League Dental Office as often as I can, a couple times a year at least. And you see a lot of our students coming in the middle of the school day. And, if you've ever had a toothache, you really can't think about anything else other than that pain, so you're not learning. I think the problem for me, though, is one thing I've seen us do so well, especially with our electives and our safety outreach and our town halls, is the way we've approached our communities as a group and kind of developed that needs assessment on site. I'm concerned that if we have another firm, it's definitely more work on our part, but I'm concerned if we have another firm leading that work, we get to a different result than the places where we've been so successful with our safety task force and with our electives and, the gains we've made in that area. That's my concern with this particular contract, is I want to make sure that we're doing as much of that work in-house and with our, with our community as possible. And somebody coming from another space who's done a lot of these is great for so many reasons, but it's also brings in a bias of what they've seen in other places. And I feel like there's not a lot of districts in California. There's, just by the numbers, Title I, basic aid, all of that. There's not a lot of districts in California that are even close to ours. So, everyone wants to feel like they're the special unicorn, but we kind of are in that way. So I would prefer, if possible, that we provide, the resources, the access to dental care, the bus to the Assistance League if needed, because you do see a lot of Estancia kids carpooling with others and trying to, coordinate their doctor's appointments to get in at the same time. And it would be great if we could help them miss less class by doing that. But I also want to make sure we don't end up with a game of how can I help you telephone, where everyone's in the same room thinking that they're helping someone else and didn't really get what is actually needed because they're so excited about these things that they're bringing from their own groups and with other spaces and other places they've been. So that's my concern.
Trustee Ursulou.
Yeah, and thank you, Trustee Bartow, for sharing that, because that's something that is really important to make sure that it meets the needs of each school site. This isn't even about the district as a whole. This is about these particular schools that get these particular money. So it's really about that community, that neighborhood that surrounds that school. And it sounds like you all have already done some of the preliminary needs assessment, and this firm wouldn't really be needed for that part. They would just be needed to have eyes on the grant to make sure the submission goes smoothly, that they catch any red flags. They know what the state wants to see in the grant. The grant writing game is kind of a game. And those of us that play it kind of know how it goes. So to have a team that has worked in that space and knows what to look out for to support our proposal and make sure it goes that way. But then when the money comes from the state, whatever, 4 million, 2 million, whatever we get, that is really going to be in the hands of Socorro and her team working with those parents at that school site, however many we get funded. So I don't know that there's going to be the space for an outsider to weigh in on their particular, take. It's really going to be at that point when we get the money. It's really, there's no money to do, if they just help with the grant submission part, there's nothing for them to do when the money comes in the door. It's Socorro, her team, and whatever, if you hire coordinators or whatever you do that are at the school site that work with those parents directly to identify, do we need dental here or do we need food bank? What do we need here in this neighborhood right here? So I think that can clarify that concern.
Trustee Murphy, did you have your light? And you
Oh, yeah,
removed it?
Lisa, to alleviate some stress about this too. So far in Orange County, Garden Grove Unified, Magnolia Science Academy, Nova Academy, OCDE, OC Innovation High, Palm Lane Global Academy, Samueli Academy, Savannah Elementary District, Unity Middle College High School, Vibrant Minds Charter, Vista Condor Global Academy, never heard of that one. Vista Heritage Global Academy, Anaheim Elementary, Anaheim Union High School, Centralia, Fullerton, Orange, Santa Ana, Buena Park, Tustin, Huntington Beach High School District, Tomorrow's Leadership Collaborative Charter, Magnolia Science Academy, and Santa Ana have all been recipients of community schools funding from the state. And I think they are looking at it as an opportunity to have access to dollars that they wouldn't have any other way. And I like this part. It's our tax dollars coming back to Newport-Mesa. We are a donor community. So just if that makes you feel any better, that there has been a lot of districts in Orange County that have already taken advantage of this opportunity. So, and I have heard nothing but good things about once the money gets to the site, how it's been able to be utilized.
Trustee Bartow?
I'm not from the grant writing world, so how it looked when I reviewed the proposal online, how much money are we actually talking? Because it looked like it's as little as $150,000. I'm really trying to understand how much
Every year per school.
Okay.
Per school.
It's between 150 to 500,000, and they determine a per pupil allotment based on the size of school. So I imagine, I don't know for sure, but I think the size of our schools would probably be 300,000 in there per year, which would provide for that additional position plus some, and allow for some enrichment opportunities and other things, and potential partnerships that we haven't been able to afford yet.
For how many years?
5.
Okay. I wanted to make sure I understood that clearly. Thank you.
Okay, oh, trustee Wygant.
Thanks. So you say this is for 5 years. Is there, after 5 years, what do you do if we have these programs and we don't have funding?
What we've done since the dawn of time, we begin to unwind things we really value. If we don't have the fun, I mean, you know, we've gone through these ebb and flows in education at prior times. I think whoever the board is at that time will have a tough decision to make. Are these valuable enough to invest with the dollars we have, or will we have to move away from some of these practices and hope that communities, partners can continue to carry them? Because I think that is ultimately, like, one of the reverberating messages is that schools can't do this alone. We are educated to help academically, and children come and families need more than that. And we need other people to do their part as well, that they want to do and that they're skilled to do, to help our families thrive. So hopefully at that time, more lotto money, who knows? But, you know, we'll just somehow everybody will have to decide what we do at that point.
And can you name the 6 schools that would be? I don't think we've named them in public, the 6 Title I
The
schools.
schools we're looking at right now are Wilson, Whittier, Ray, Pomona, Paularino, and Kellybrook.
Okay. And then this is only Title I funding money, right? So we can't figure out, you know, if there are, you know, needs at other schools.
The state has a threshold. Last year, it was like you had to be over 70% unduplicated counts. So the state has targeted that money to the highest need areas. We are in partnerships with other places to always help make sure our schools are getting the community connection and resources they need. But as we've discussed tonight, the level of depth that our different schools need, because they are quite different, the communities that they serve are quite different, they aren't all the same, but we have ongoing relationships. I mean, you hear us speaking about Newport Harbor and CDM. We know that they have community relationships that are getting needed resources to families. The volume and magnitude of that just simply might look different. But we are always actively trying to match the needs of every school community. This goes kind of a step deeper by bringing that person on site to help organize it and connect it, keep parents in constant communication, keep staff in constant communication, and connect all those dots, because they can be overwhelming when everybody's used to focusing on the classroom, and we'll continue to focus on the classroom.
So when you say that person at that school, will there be one person that will be like the community facilitator for that school that will, direct that student and family with the service that they need?
I mean, we'll work on what that position is, and it would always complement existing resources that we have. So we know the board has invested in the counselor. We know we have strong school community facilitators. We have great resources in the district already, our teachers who have strong relationships with students and with parents. What we don't always have is the connection to kind of send them to exactly the right place in a timely manner. And this would help address some of that.
So this funding would go to the students with their need, not necessarily an employee of the district that will help facilitate that.
There would have to be a new employee. That is the one string. There does have to be a new employee, again, because it's a new level of work, as the state kind of is defining it. It's a new level of amplified partnerships and amplified voice. But outside of that, there aren't kind of the money must be spent this way. That community would decide. So does that, that community would decide.
And how much does that employee make?
That has not been established yet. We haven't established what that position would be.
Because where I'm going is how much is actually, if it's $300,000, say for our schools, how much is actually going to be given to the students as opposed, or used for the students as opposed to used for like, a staff member, right?
I would say probably at least half.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. I had some questions / comments first. I think one of the things for me, thank you for explaining, and I think to discussing which schools they are is really helpful. I know that was some of the concern with some folks weren't necessarily sure which schools. I think one of the things for me that I think it would be helpful, unfortunately, oftentimes when we have people who have comments about some of these topics that are national topics, they leave before we talk about them. So unfortunately, they may be at home, hopefully listening, but community schools have been around for a very long time. They have been in existence in places like Texas and Arkansas for a very long time, have been approved and are thriving in places that perhaps some of our community may think that they wouldn't exist or they wouldn't have been approved. And I think one of the things that's really important, and I think each of us hold really strongly, is continuing and maintaining local control. And when articles are published or people are talking about education policy at a national level, there's a lot of jargon, there's a lot of opinions, and it's not a lot of fact, and it's not a lot of what actually happens in our local context or most people's local context. Orange County particularly is a bit unique. I mean, LA Unified is one monolith. San Diego County is massive. They have a variety of districts, but Orange County is unique, and basically every 5 miles there's a different school district because of the desire for local control. And unfortunately, there has been some overstepping. I think some of us are not comfortable with from the state level for certain things. I think particularly for community schools and the intent and the entire focus of them being about local parent voice and choice. To me, I hope that we don't see that, but we also would have the option to say, well, if you're giving us $10,000 and there's strings attached, we would be uniquely placed that we would be able to then know which programs work, what our parents have already decided they need, and either ask for corporate partnerships or private philanthropy to meet those needs if we needed to withdraw from state funding. And I think one of the things for me, similarly to having the state or different people telling us as a district what to do, one of the things for me that's personally frustrating is people coming who may not have a vested interest in our district or know our schools very well, telling us what we should do with our local schools. It's the same thing as the state coming and telling us what to do. The same thing if somebody is coming from a community that has no idea what a family is experiencing on a day-to-day basis and telling us what we should or should not do. It's literally the same thing. And so I have a problem with that. I think in the past, particularly for these 6 schools, there has been a lot of disenfranchisement of our parents. Some of our teachers and our staff in the past have been ignored and not been included in decision-making. And community schools, one of the pillars is collaborative and shared decision-making with parents at the hub of that. So it was fascinating. We really got, I balanced emails, pro and con. Those that were against what we're doing, a lot of it was national rhetoric, but almost all of them were talking about removing parent control, and that's literally the opposite of what this model is, which leads me to believe they really don't understand what it is. They're just hearing from somebody else, that is bad, that is something you shouldn't have. For me, I think it's really important. We've added student board members. We really value and want students at the table. It's super important to hear directly. And community schools also build that in, not just at the high school level, but at the elementary school level. I think I have seen personally, some of our school site councils are people who are always involved. It's the PTA people, it's the people who are always involved. And the point of community schools is to set up a framework where those voices that are not often heard are at the table in a safe and caring way, and that their needs can be heard and addressed. I don't know of any other context where that happens, and I think particularly for these 6 schools and knowing these 6 school communities extremely well, collaborative shared decision-making based on feedback and authentic voice, to me, is exactly why we are in these roles. Every single person that is up here because they genuinely care about parents and families. We're not doing this for, outside reasons. We really care about this, and so it's not just something we're hearing on the news. We all, even when we disagree, the intent that we all have is to empower families. And I think there's a disconnect with knowing what some of the actual barriers that our families experience on a day-to-day basis. And I think we have made an excellent start adding in one community school facilitator at each of our schools, which took 5 years, but was literally the thing that several of us heard every day from parents, heard every day from teachers. Every campus that I ever went to of the 5 elementary schools in Westlake Costa Mesa, they were like, we need a full-time facilitator, nothing else, please. But there's not a coordination with that currently. So while that, I'm glad we have them, we are missing a key person. Very similarly, I went to the Community Alliance as well as a nonprofit partner and just a community member, and there's not coordination. And so we need a point person who is directing and coordinating and saying, we have 6 providers of backpacks. Guess what? Everyone in Newport-Mesa has a brand new backpack, but we're missing these 3 things. I need to go after a community partner that offers that. We don't currently have a person doing that, and I see that as a real gap, and I think this is something that will create. And I think our school facilitators, to me, are some of the most important people on our campuses, and oftentimes they spend their day finding resources for their school community. Like, say there's a facilitator at Ray, well, there's a facilitator at Pomona. They could be doing parallel work that day. There's not a point person saying, I know where you can, the hours that you need to go to the dental clinic, and having a bus or a transportation linking. We need a key person to link those two. And so for me, I feel very strongly, I remember when we added community and family engagement as an LCAP goal. To me, it was one of the conversations that I had with Vanessa Gailey, and I was like, could we possibly do community schools? Could we just use 1 or 2 of the pillars or start talking about them? Because really a lot of the research that I have done, and I've studied our district since 2011, this is what we need. And so for me, I agree. I'm not married to an organization. I'm definitely not committed to having a one-point person. I don't think I've usually seen a bio that goes with a contract for one agency. And if people are uncomfortable with that, I'm fine with that. But I think partnering the way that this grant is too, with multiple districts and with our county, to me, it just seems like something that's an obvious next step. And it's particularly for my schools are 5 elementary schools that are all Title I that are extremely under-resourced. And the parents want to be involved, but often, until recently, we now have all 5 principals that are bilingual. We now have a facilitator at every school. We're getting there, but now we need someone to help coordinate those resources. So those are all of my comments and thoughts, but I think this is great to have this. I don't usually speak for everyone, but I feel very passionately about this, obviously. Trustee Ursulou.
Yeah, I just had one follow-up comment about Trustee Wygan's question about how much would be spent on staffing. And I think that's a tricky one, because if each school, for instance, got the lower end of the scale, yeah, it might be 50%, but if they get the higher end of the scale, then it would be a fraction of that. So it's really about like the average staff person of this caliber, 60 to 80 grand, that's for that person, and then the rest goes to making those connections and getting those resources in. But you need a human to connect those resources, so there has to be one, but it won't be the whole budget for sure. It's not usually how that works.
I actually have one more question that will they be walking alongside then for some of that, the listening component, if there is any of that? Will they say like, here's how you hold a town hall at an elementary school, here's how, like, is that, because I saw there was something about like listening sessions?
Of course, we would be working side by side with anybody we contract with this work. I mean, there is an important role for principals and staff to be side by side in this. It's not just parents, it's parents and staff, and it's everybody together. And so we would be doing that alongside of them. This person would just kind of be connecting all the dots all the time and focused only on that, which we don't have the luxury to focus only on this because we have a lot of other. But we will make whatever the board deems appropriate to, if you can deem anything appropriate to continue with this work, we will make that work and we will thrive under those conditions.
Okay, and then the last thing, because it was something that I think has been brought up before, if we have some of this money, then we would have district money that would be freed up from some of the things that we currently use it for to then go to other school efforts or programs, right? Like if there's something that's currently being done that's not covered, that would get wrapped under community schools.
Well, we know Mr. Trader is a magician. And he does amazing things and creates opportunities for our students with whatever we have. So I definitely believe under his guidance, we would maximize our resources. We would combine what we could, not combine what was illegal to combine, and create opportunities for our students across the district.
Thank you. Trustee Ursula, did you have?
Yeah, I mean, does everyone else have all their comments? Okay. Yeah, if everyone has kind of asked and answered all their elements, if we could have a motion to approve the contract, but revised at a very tight scale and scope of just $15,000 for their grant rating support service part. Not the planning, that should be Socorro and her team and the principals and all the people on the ground, but just to have those expert eyes on this grant, because why spend the time on a grant if you can make it a little bit better and make sure that it gets, that extra edge to get funding into the district. So just a small scale scope contract for $15,000 for grant writing support services from the Community Scholars Learning Exchange, for them to be able to review and work alongside and just have that extra set of eyes, knowing that they have been in this game a lot longer than we have.
Okay. And your Trustee Barto.
But we couldn't do that today, right?
We can actually.
Well, I would like to see that contract before I would agree to go through with it. I would like to see what the scope is. I wouldn't just want to do it up here on the fly. I wouldn't feel comfortable. I said I wouldn't feel comfortable doing that on the fly without seeing what that information looks like.
Okay, but Trustee Ursula, you made a motion. Do we have a second for your motion?
I second.
Okay. Were there any other questions or comments on that motion? Trustee Green.
Yes, Trustee Barto, what do you mean? Because I think the contract's already all enumerated, so we could probably go into it right now and see which part we're going to use, and that would be it, right? So the contract's already all there. It's just which one we want to take out of the contract. We can get done with it tonight.
Trustee Ursula?
Yeah, I think the issue would be to have that contract, which I believe staff has, and then right now it has probably a bunch of different bullet points and a $65,000 price tag, or $45,000, I keep getting it wrong, $45,000 price tag, crossing out all of those other elements except grant support service, and $15,000. That's because the contract is already written up and those are elements within, not above. We couldn't get something approved for over the $45,000 tonight, but because it's a fraction of it and a fraction of the scope that's already written, it is actually possible to do.
Okay. Do we have any additional questions? Okay. Roll call vote, please.
Trustee Anderson?
Yes?
Trustee Crane?
Yes.
Trustee Weigand?
No.
Trustee Pearson?
No.
Trustee Murphy?
Yes.
Trustee Ursulou?
Yes.
Trustee Barto?
No.
And next, we have our informal reports. Dr. Smith.
You know, people evaluate success in lots of different ways. It's hard to argue what is failure, what is success. People have their own opinions. But I want to argue that we have some great successes in my mind to celebrate. And one is the graduation coach that was mentioned earlier. We got a California School Board Association Golden Bell Award for that. We have not had one since 2017. We have one for this. I've judged those before. It's hard to get one. So I want to congratulate our team. And I got to tell you, talking about successes, we have a 97% graduation rate in this district. We have 2 schools with 100% graduation rate. If the goal is to educate kids, college and career, and graduation is a requirement therein, man, I think we're doing a heck of a job. But the great thing about this board and this district is good enough or great is not enough. So even with 97%, let's get to 100%, right? And we have folks helping us do that work, and I want to celebrate them. Also, blue ribbon schools are hard to get. I was a superintendent in other districts. We didn't have any. For the second time in 2 years, we've been awarded another blue ribbon, and that's early college and the great work that they have done. And this is even harder to get. It got the Lighthouse Award, too. So we are doing great work out there. If you're bored next Tuesday morning, want to come to breakfast and hear me brag even more about why I think we're successful, you can buy a ticket or make a donation, rather, and attend. And then I just want to say that this last week we did the California Labor Management Initiative, and Trustee Anderson was there right alongside our team. As I've said, it's probably labor management governance coming together. And it's about being intentional about the relationship, right? And I want to compliment our labor allies. They were in the room. We see around us in the country right now a lot of labor and management unrest, right? And folks have a right to express themselves. And the one thing that history and research is pretty clear about is that if you have the right relationship built on trust and communication, that you can survive those. You can disagree and not dehumanize. And I'm just proud of our team. When I look around the country, folks have their own realities. But our reality is one where the person coming into the district said, I love coming to your district to facilitate. Because everywhere else, people are fighting. I come here and I get to laugh with you and build a relationship. And so to our labor leaders and to those folks that don't know what your labor leaders are doing, when they go, we're not negotiating. We're not taking away your rights. We're intentionally building relationships that'll protect the dehumanization of one another so we can serve our students. And I'm just proud to be a part of this district for all of those reasons.
Trustee Crane. We'll go down the line.
Yeah. So Trustee Pearson and I had the honor and privilege of visiting our Presidio campus of Monte Vista, the new campus for Monte Vista, which is an independent study alternative education school. And it was wonderful to see the fact that that this group could have their own campus, and just the interaction with the teachers, and everything was just flowing so nicely. And one of the highlights was also moving on to the alternative to suspension program, where we went over to another space where they're gonna get a new one, but it's not quite ready yet. But they were in a portable, and we walked in, and there were 3 students who basically were there because it was their alternative to suspension. They weren't home unattended or just not doing anything. They basically were at school in a separate environment. There was a consequence, but learning was not interrupted. And we had a wonderful experience. The teacher there, Mr. Wagner, was so engaged with his students. we actually got to participate in an activity, right? And it was really a wonderful, very insightful and engaging experience. So that was great. I'm so glad that Newport-Mesa has provided that as an alternative environment, so thank you. We also are, well, we're getting ready to do our walk to school. We're going to brush up our tennis shoes tomorrow and join Newport Coast and Anderson Elementary, because a lot of our schools are participating in walk to school activities tomorrow. I think I heard 16 from the PTA. And just doing a lot of sports attendances and performances and just having a lot of fun. Just celebrating what our kids are doing and how engaged they are, and the staff and teachers and all that. So that's it. Looking forward to state of the school breakfast.
Awesome. Well, I first want to start off saying I wanted to thank the board for some very insightful and respectful discussion. I know these things don't come easy, but I value all of your opinions so well up here, and I really thank you for all your insightful knowledge, and I do. And I like to see us have meaningful discussions that, especially with our students in the room as well, so that it can set hopefully an example of, hey, we can disagree, but we can all really get along and get along for our common good. So I really thank you guys all for that discussion. It's a great thing to watch and be a part of. One thing that actually Trustee Murphy and I did, we went and saw Kaiser and Mr. B, our new principal over there, and just to see how, a new admin at the school kind of sparks a little life into a lot of different parts of the school, but also just going around and seeing how excited and how great some of the classrooms are. I think you spied on some important people in your world that kind of scared them, and that was great. But yes, and I also wanted to say, Jeff, it was great to also see that you have given the principals a list of what facilities projects are going to happen and when, and so that was really great to see, and there might be some discussions about, moving around some things later on, but I appreciate all your work at the site level. Thank you.
I also want to ditto what you said. Thank you for the great discussion. Being a new board member, it's like I didn't even know when we were going to discuss it or how you could discuss it. So it is great that we pulled it and we were able to discuss it and get our questions answered. So thank you. Busy September. Most of the things that I did with these guys. I also visited with Trustee Murphy College Park in Davis, and she was also spying on people there too. Enjoyed a flag football game with Carroll Crane girls flag football, which was, it took me a while to get there, but when I got there, it really was, we got into it. It was very, very fun, fun to watch, and a great addition to our schools. I also enjoyed visiting Presidio. We got to see a lot of theater, and also the Zone Pack is one of my favorite things to go to. Zone Pack meeting, ours is at Corona Del Mar, and it's when all of the principals and the PTA presidents get together and discuss. They share what they're doing on their campuses, and it's so great to see the sharing that goes on, and it really benefits every school, and I think it's probably one of my favorite things to be part of.
I'd love to scale it.
Oh, okay. You guys need to do it. You need your own zone pack. You can use some of that money to start the zone pack.
Hey, you should come to the meetings and bring it up. Because I don't know how those are going to go, so we will be learning together. Yes, thank you. Sorry, I get a little passionate about this. I really, I want our Costa Mesa schools to be able to be the best they can be, so I do get a little fired up. Sorry about that. I care deeply about our community, as we all do. Yes, I had fun running around Kaiser. Mr. B is doing a great job. I've heard nothing but great news or great feedback from all of the families about Mr. B. So thank you, Mr. B, for continuing all of that greatness over at Kaiser. It was fun telling him about how Kaiser Carnival does go all the way back to the end of those fields.
That's some PFO money you can use
I
for
know,
lighting.
he had no idea. He was like, the whole field? I was like, yes, the whole field. Like the whole east side comes over, has fun. And then obviously College Park and Davis are doing great. It was fun to meet up with those principals. And so yes, it's always nice to hear from our schools and our principals that they feel supported, that they feel that the staff and administration have their back and are giving them the tools and resources that they need to be successful. So thank you always for everything that you guys do and all the hard work you pour into this work. We know it's not easy. I don't have much else to add except for see you in Costa Mesa next Tuesday for the State of the Schools. We are very much looking forward to having you all there. So come, you can park at my house if you want and walk across the street. It's an option.
Save me a spot.
Yes, it's an option. I can carpool everybody. So anyways, thank you.
Thank you. Okay. I would also like to thank everyone for the discussion, and I just really appreciate how respectful we are towards each other. And I think I know at any given time, at least 2 of my kids are watching, but I think not just that, a lot of our kids are watching, and I think that what makes our country work so well is how we can have these discussions and disagree without ad hominem attacks. And it starts with a local level, so I think that's great. And if we could get that to the rest of the country, we would be doing so much better because we can disagree, but we don't need to call each other names. For the Newport bike safety training, something I spend a lot of time on, so I'm very pleased to share that Newport L did their bike safety training today for their upper grades. That's new, both for regular bikes and e-bikes. Ensign did that as well last week, and then they've got a bike safety community night. It's believed sometime this week, I forget what the date is. I went to the Newport Harbor High School homecoming and was so it was a lot of fun. Newport Harbor won, but the better part was hearing from so many parents who thanked me for the good work the district is doing. I had people come up and say, thank you so much for all the changes on the baseball field. So Jeff, they noticed, they're very appreciative. And a lot of parents come up and say, oh, you know, XYZ teacher changed the way my child feels about math. They didn't love school, they had struggled with math, and you know, this teacher is so positive and has all these great motivations around the room and really has explained math in a way that makes my student love math. So many things like that. Every single parent I encountered had a big thank you for some great work the district is doing. So thank you. That was nice to go to homecoming and not have not a single negative comment about the district, like lots and lots of cheers. So that was wonderful. And then tomorrow, our Community Alliance for Bike Safety has a meeting with Trustee Crane, and we will be discussing ways that we can further expand our efforts. We've done really well with Newport Beach, and now we'd like to expand that a little bit with Costa Mesa. And then none of us mentioned the Estancia Theater groundbreaking.
Oh,
that was so fun. And it was exciting. It was exciting to, you know, to literally stand in the dirt and dig that shovel and watch what the students are going to get that first step. So that's all I have.
Yes, and that's all I have. The groundbreaking was great, that it was next to the green space and not on top of the green space, so that made my day. And we had a riveting policy committee meeting last week. That was kind of awesome. And then tomorrow is the youth sports meeting where we expect to thank you that the pools are now open at the crack of dawn. You're welcome.
No whistles till 7 now. Yeah.
And I think upcoming next week, another riveting time, I'm going to go speak to the Estancia AP research class about methods. So come join us, anyone that wants to do that. So those are all my updates for now.
I am just really impressed by how many students we have had coming to speak and engage in our meetings. It's just been wonderful to see from all of our campuses. So that has just, I love to hear students sharing their thoughts and opinions. I'm very excited to meet our new principal at Whittier on Friday, so I will see you, Chris. I think it is a wonderful opportunity to have now all 5 of our principals in Area 7 are bilingual speakers. Sorry, 4 of 5. Victoria is not, but is not as needed there. And then I'm excited too for the facilities master plan listening sessions, which maybe some people aren't, but I am very excited about them. And I think it's a great opportunity for our community who have a lot of thoughts and opinions and ideas too, to come for each of our zones to share those for students as well. I think often parents come to that, and it would be amazing to see students there. And then we also had the retiree recognition event, which was very delightful. It was amazing for me to see my freshman PE coach, Sharon Ewell, retiring. I've known her since I was 14. So it was just a really lovely time of seeing so many of the people who are retiring also have family members who are still members of our district and or attended our district. So that was just a really wonderful event. So thank you so much. And it is 8:55 and we will close our meeting now. Thank you.